Novel, I Am God, by, author, washingdishes_07. Genre, fantasy. Theme, world creation, gods, mixed. Description, Matthias died and became something that he least expected. I Am God. Join Matthias as he travel through galaxies and create all things. What would you do if you suddenly gained a power that no mortal man could hope to achieve? What would you do if all creation suddenly bowed to your power and glory that only lofty emperors could have? Heaven and hell submits to your power, the immortal realm fears your existence, the mortal realm bows before your presence. Would you like for all the realms to bow and praise even your shadow? All gods to bow before you? The earthly kings and heavenly rulers to sonorously chant your glorious name? Or would you like to live the life of mortal men that are doomed to die? Understand poverty and loftiness, powerfulness and powerlessness, comprehend knowledge that arrogant gods wouldn't be able to. Or would you like both? Join him as he tries to live a life of a true God, ruler of creation. Or gods the greatest existence in all of the cosmos? No. Why? Gods are only worshipped by mortals who couldn't reach their power. Gods will be powerless in front of true power. They would be powerless in front of me. Quote. Chapter 1 I Am God, where am I? It was the first thing he said when he appeared in the void. He saw nothing. Blackness pervaded his surroundings. Oh, I remember. I was hit by a truck. He sighed as he remembered the way that he died. It was abrupt, but he laughed because he didn't reincarnate to another world. He waited for an unknown amount of time and was bored to death, so he contemplated, my body should be dead already, right? Is this afterlife? Why is it so empty? Have I been sinful and good at the same time, so I was thrown into limbo because the gods can't decide where to put me? Matthias wondered as his soul wandered in the void. After a time that felt like decades or centuries, a voice suddenly startled him. Loading, adapting to the host's knowledge. Integrating, welcome to the creation system, host. A female voice spoke to Matthias emotionlessly. What? Matthias was dumbfounded. You could call me Shira, host. The female voice spoke once more. Shira, why that name? Matthias hissed. I integrated your existing knowledge towards me. I adapted a form that is most suitable for your use to assist you with the built-in system in you. Shira said. Before he could even speak, Shira said, I adapted my form from the system that you know so that you could use me more efficiently. System, as in the system of the novels. Matthias' eyes glowed even though his soul has no eyes. As per your knowledge, yes. Amazing, Matthias joyfully chirped. So, what does it do? He inquired. The creation system is for you to create your own world. If you achieve a certain goal, which I will explain if you're near its completion, you can reincarnate to your old world and continue your life. Then, what are we waiting for? Let's start. As Matthias said that, a blue panel filled with genes appeared in front of him. This is the panel which you will use to create your world. You could use a scientific approach or mythological approach to create your world. I'm not proficient in science, so let's go to the mythological one. When he said that, his mind was flooded with knowledge. The panel also became a key and integrated with his mind. After a while of contemplation, Matthias moved. If I want to create a world, I shall start with the base. Matthias waved his hand and with it, the sun and moon and stars appeared to enlighten the land. He waved it once more and there appeared a land of soil and stone that stretched boundlessly. He manifested the key and pointed it towards the soil, and from the key, cascaded endless amounts of water which flooded the land. He raised his hand and from the bottom of the ocean, the land that was once flooded shook and huge chunks of it rose, forming islands and continents. When he realized what he had just done inside the void that turned into a world filled with colors blue and brown, he was dumbfounded. What he saw was a continent in the middle of the world that stretched far and wide, and a humongous ocean surrounding it. Wow, this is beautiful, but it will be more so if there are plants and trees and living creatures. Matthias looked at the distant horizon and grumbled as he looked at the barren land. The void inside the creation system has been around this world since its making. Without anything inside the void to sustain it with power, the only source of energy that the system got was from the celestial body's energy and Earth's energy and was stored inside for eons. Shira replied as she materialized into a small girl with pigtails. Can I use those stored energy to create? Matthias looked at Shira with expectant eyes. Yes, we once had 14.5 million. But when you created the world, now we currently have 12.5 million creation points, CP, that you can use to buy things in the shop. Shira nodded. There's a shop. Matthias dumbfoundedly stared at Shira. Yes, manifest the blue key from your mind and think of the shop. Matthias did as he was told and the blue key appeared. It transformed into its original form of a blue panel and there appeared a shop with a lot of items. There are plants, animals, half-sentient, sentient beings, high beings, and custom. What does custom do? He asked. If you want to create a life form, you can go to custom. Nah, I'll do it next time. Matthias shrugged and picked the plant section. There were a lot of plants there ranging from normal grass to divine trees. Matthias' eyes shone as he looked at a certain divine tree. The tree of life. I'll need that in my land. Matthias nodded and looked at the price. Heck, it's quite a large chunk of my CP. Matthias hesitated and later on decided, here goes nothing. He clicked at the icon and purchased the Tree of Life. A seed that's the size of a football appeared on his hand. The numbers at the corner of the panel go from 12.5 million down to 12 million. Where would you want to plant the Tree of Life? She asked. Matthias contemplated and nodded as if he had already decided and, from above the world, he landed in the middle of the continent and planted the football-sized seed. He once again flew and viewed the world from above. How long will this take? It will take exactly 77,777 years for it to fully mature. Shira emotionlessly answered. I need to wait that long. Matthias grimaced. You could speed up the time by paying 4 million creation points to unlock the function. I'll pay, he quickly answered. Then, the panel changed with another icon being added at the bottom left with a watch symbol. Speed up, Matthias said as he pressed the icon, and what happened next amazed him. As soon as he said that, the land soon developed fast. The seed punctured the soil and a baby tree rose and became so tall that it reached the skies in just 7 minutes. The surrounding also became green as different types of grass, herb, flowers, and trees extended from the tree outward. This beautiful world, my masterpiece. I shall call this the world of Alphan. Chapter 2 Life. Because of the Tree of Life, you have unlocked your first race in this world, elves. Shira interrupted Matthias' admiration for what was happening around him. What, elves? Matthias was dumbstruck. As soon as he said that, Shira pointed at the roots of the tree. Matthias looked at where she was pointing, and there, a huge seed or egg was hatching. What came out was a tall man with pointy ears and a green cloak as if it was born with him. His handsomeness was to the point that the girls would want to worship him. Next to him, another seed opened, and a woman as beautiful as the man appeared. Together with them, seeds of all different sizes appeared in the middle of the continent, hatching and giving birth to elves. With the speed-up function, the perimeters surrounding the Tree of Life were filled with normal trees and soon became a huge forest which he called the Great Forest of Alphas, in which the elves thrived by absorbing nutrients from the Tree of Life and the other trees surrounding it. After the elves' 100th year of existence and with the population of the elves growing and with the knowledge from the Tree of Life, Tariel, the first elf that was born, established his power and founded the kingdom of Ansari in the Great Forest of Alphas. He proclaimed himself as the first king of the elves and established his rule and absolute authority together with his wife, Anathalia, the second elf. His first command was for the elves to stay inside the Great Forest as that is their world. His second command was his establishment of the royal family and the noble lineages, with the royal family being the lineage and the 6 noble lineages that supported his ascension, the lineages of Dan, Sa, Ga, Du, Ast, and Mu. With this, the elves lived peacefully inside the embrace of the Great Forest. Seeing all this, Matthias' amazement increased. The ability and knowledge of the elves that came from the Tree of Life can create a civilization in just 100 years while humans took tens if not hundreds of thousands of years. The Tree of Life also gave birth to some aerial creatures like the 4-winged peacock, a peacock-like bird that could fly using its 4 wide wings and has a tail that could reach up to 5 meters wide and 2 meters long. With its heavenly chirp, the land became much more beautiful. But for Matthias, there are still a lot of necessary things missing. Several hours later, while looking at the magnificent masterpiece that he made, Matthias was in awe. A paradise was laid before him. He created varieties of land and water bodies like plateaus, plains, mountains, lakes, waterfalls, and all sorts of flora and fauna. He also bought spirit seeds from the shop which was said to supply the world with magical energy, and spirit veins to fuel the spirit seeds and raise it to release and spread humongous amounts of energy. He also created varieties of metal for the other creatures that he will create to discover and created caves for them to explore. He bought animals like cows, chickens, horses, fishes, etc. Not normal ones though. The animals that he bought to populate the world were spirit animals that could also supply the world with energy when they die. Lastly, he created another race that Shira suggested for his world, humans. He placed them on 3 different places which are east of the continent that was near a forest, a mountain, and a lake, perfect for human habitation, a place in the north where tundras and mountains converged and where beasts roamed, and the extreme west, where the ocean was near them and where seafaring will emerge sooner or later. After 15 years of humanity's existence, he saw how humans developed a little poorly. The people in the east ate grass and wrestled with beasts. The people of the north where mountains rose as high as 3,200 kilometers up in the air survived by wrestling with beasts and adapted to eating moss and rock. The people on the west fared better as they were near the sea where fishes roam and occasionally got some food. With how the people of the east and north fared, he aided them by descending and integrating into their society and taught them how to live and sustain themselves. With the knowledge that he gave them, Helos, a smart and strong human from the eastern humans, declared himself the emperor of Helos' empire on the east and led his kind to live and advance. The people of the west were a little smarter and discovered the fishes and started fishing in their 3rd year. By the time that he finished guiding the 3 human domains, the humans of the West have developed as much as creating small huts near the sea so that they can be near their livelihood. With Matthias having activated the speed-up function, thousands of years have passed in his created world. Humans of the East expanded their reach and created cities. Niemann, the 22nd king of Helos, became an incompetent leader and became the last ruler of Helos as his huge empire broke and fell, signifying the chaos that will encompass the East, marking the first day of the Follows era. The huge Helos empire broke down into 7 dukedoms and 1 domain of independent commoners in the south. After years of conflict, the once ginormous Helos empire was separated into 3 kingdoms, Nortos of the north, the Sanster kingdom that occupied the imperial capital, and Yale that occupied the smallest territory in the south. The 3 kingdoms constantly fought for territories and resources. Bloodshed occurred between the borders of the kingdoms. The elves, being led by Anadriel, grandson of the founder Ansariel, discovered the existence of humanity and prepared for defense. They crafted bows and arrows from spirit trees, swords, and shields, and armor was created using the surrounding resources available for them. Although elves haven't experienced war yet, they saw from humankind how devastating it can be. Not wanting to experience that, the 3rd king of Ansari secured the outer perimeters of the Great Forest and prepared themselves to defend against humans if ever they invaded. Chapter 3 I became a real god. The humans of the north rode downward and arrived on the steppes where the living conditions are a bit better than the northern mountains. They set up houses made of stones by creating a square wall and covering the top with a larger flat stone. They started their first civilization and created weapons, or should be described as clubs, and fought beasts with them. They also discovered new beasts that aren't much hostile, horses. Seeing how fast they ran, they tried to capture some and succeeded on their 15th try by entangling it with weeds. After failure, they succeeded in taming the beast and rode on it. Seeing that, Matthias' sweat trickled. He knew that what was happening before his eyes could be the start of something that could make the kingdoms of ancient Earth grimace and feel fear. The western human colony that developed much faster than the other 2 started to sail across the sea to catch more fish, and as some of them discovered schools of fishes, they invented nets to catch more. Their houses evolved from leaf and stick huts to wooden houses as they used their old fishing spears as a reference to cut into things with sharp things. They started making axes from stone and branches and chopped wood with them. They started to make boats to sail and sharp stones to capture and kill land beasts. A wandering human also stumbled upon the Great Forest upon years of traveling and discovered elves. The man introduced their society to them, a society that relies on seafaring, and how they live. The elves sent envoys with the man while riding the deers that the Tree of Life gave birth to and rode towards the west, establishing diplomatic relations with the western humans, making them develop rapidly once more. While watching the fast development happening before him with awe, Shira interrupted him. As the world's population reached 1 million, you have earned the title, Creator, and have unlocked the divinity. You have unlocked a more broad authority upon your creation. You could also appear to them as whatever you want for them to see you. Divinity. Matthias quickly asked Shira for instructions. He clicked the divinity section on the panel in front of him. Activate divinity. A message notification appeared in front of him. Yes. After saying so, a bright light appeared in the panel and entered Matthias' body. Looking at himself, if anything bad happened, he was relieved to discover that he was fine and feeling great. Inside him, a small ball of light stayed in his spiritual sea, which he discovered from Shira. He also discovered that the light gives him strength that surpasses any being that is currently in his world. Shira, could you check how dense the magical energy is in my world? He turned to face her and asked. Because your world has just been recently created and there are spirit animals dying, resulting in additional energy, the world's current spirit energy density is as dense as a normal immortal world. It should have been more dense if not for the Tree of Life devouring energy around it. Shira answered. He nodded. Matthias asked once again, how much is my CP? After making changes in this world and creating the humans, your CP was reduced from 8 million to 4 million. Then, how much is a custom being? He asked. Shira thought for a moment and answered, it depends. The price ranges from 700,000 CPs to 100 million EPs. Matthias grimaced when he heard the price. For a millennia of the world's existence, the creation system amassed only 9.5 million CPs, not even a tenth of the 100 million mark. He wanted to create a god beside him to manage the world below. To do so, he estimates that he needed at least 60 to 100 million just to do so. Looking at his CPs, Matthias smiled wryly. How long will it take for that to happen? Sensing his thoughts, Shira patted his back. Don't worry. You will have that amount once the world you created is already stable and the beings inside it are powerful. You could acquire CPs in various ways, such as your creation's death. Their death returns the energy they got to you and it varies on their strength. A normal being's death gives you 0.01 CP, while a high-class being gives you at least 100 EPs. Your divinity could also give you CPs. By strengthening the faith of the people to you, you could amass faith points FPs and use them as alternatives to CPs. Hearing that, Matthias eased. He also planned his descent to his world as a divinity to acquire faith points. I want to create a custom being, Matthias announced. The blue panel in front of him enlarged and became a paint-like software. After countless drawings and editing, Matthias finished the physical form. Would you make it a normal beast, spirit beast, sentient being, or a higher being? Shira asked. I wouldn't want this magnificent being as a normal beast, and spirit beast seems a little lowly for it. So, higher being, Matthias pridefully declared. For it to be a higher being, you need 10 million CPs, Shira replied. Oof, Matthias drew a cold breath. Just save the template first. Can you do that? Sure. Immediately, Shira manifested a panel similar to his, and a drawing, similar to the one that he drew, appeared on her screen. Done. She nodded in affirmation. I do want to check on the half-sentience though. I know sentient beings are those who are just like humans when they think and are conscious, but what are half-sentients? Matthias asked, with Shira answering immediately. Half-sentients are beast-like creatures who could develop a civilization but still retains their beastly mind and instincts. Matthias nodded, showing that he understood. He then clicked on the half-sentients and there showed up tons of beings. Goblins, hobgoblins, beastmen, high harpies, the list goes on and on. But Matthias focused on one creature, orcs. On Earth, orcs are creatures that symbolized chaos, destruction, carnage, and strength. They were the greatest of all warriors and the epitome of madness. They abide by the laws of the jungle where the strong will always eat the weak. With that in mind, he extended the ocean farther to open up a new space. He headed towards the west. He wants to create a new continent. Chapter 4: A New Race and Descension. He raised up his hand, summoning his authority upon creation. When he created the world, there was nothing, only void. But now, with the land, sea, and sky in existence, there came chaos. The lands shook and the oceans rose. The sky darkened as a huge storm approached. Spirit energy gathered around the surroundings madly. Chaos ensued. After a while, a huge continent as large as the first appeared before his eyes. He created extreme deserts, tundras, forests, swamps, and mountains that are a little less suitable for inhabitation. He also created beasts that are appropriate to those areas. He made them a little more powerful than the beasts of the first continent for the orcs to go against. And now, he waved his hand and summoned 7 orc groups that had 100 orcs in every group. He called them Horde from a game he used to love when he was living on Earth. These 7 hordes have 50 adult orcs and 50 orc children. The orcs were to tend to the young and fight against the beast and return food. Matthias also placed iron mines near the orcish settlements so that when the right time comes, they can be armed and geared up as they ward against each other to try and dominate the other. After all that, he will let the orcs decide what path they will take. After doing all that, Matthias returned to the first continent. He then faced Shira. I want to descend, Matthias suddenly spoke. As a divinity, Shira asked with her head facing him. No, not yet. I want to descend as a normal person and join in the fun. Matthias smiled and looked at the far horizon as he reminisced about the past. When I was alive, I wanted to become a general that led an army of tens of hundreds of thousands. Matthias faced her again and said with fervor, this world still has no formations of sorts, so I want to apply the formations that I learned when I read about the battles all under heaven. You will spend a long time establishing your influence and power in that world that you need to accomplish what you want. Shira warned. And establish it for a long time I'll do. Matthias smiled. He waved his hand and appeared in an unsuspicious corner in the kingdom of Yale. He walked around and discovered that he arrived in a marketplace in the city of Thale, north of Yale. The city of Thale is the kingdom's first line of defense against the kingdom of Sanster. It encompasses Fort Ivanhel, a fort that was created by Asher Yale, the current ruler of the kingdom of Yale. Fort Ivanhel is situated in the middle of a mountain valley. With its strategic point, even though Yale is the smallest and weakest kingdom between the three, they held on and successfully defended the kingdom against Sanster's assault. The kingdom is composed of commoners and only commoners. The kingdom of Yale was once a dukedom under Augustus Sanster. When the empire broke down, 7 dukedoms decided to seize the rule. Augustus Sanster led his army north to capture the capital and fight against other competitors. Asher Yale took this opportunity of the dukedom having little to no soldiers and led the oppressed commoners to rebel and seize the dukedom from Augustus' control. With his wise mind, he assumed leadership and taught the commoners how to manage the dukedom. With his knowledge, he trained soldiers and used every resource he could get to forge and make weapons and armor, bows and arrows, and any defense equipment. The siege of the capital took 7 months to complete. After 7 months, Augustus barely won and captured the capital. He was confused at first at why there were no reinforcements that came to their aid in those 7 months. When he discovered that the commoners rebelled, he was flustered and furious. He tried to lead an attack against them, but when he discovered his exhausted troops and sparse equipment, he could do nothing but rest for a period of time, making way for Asher Yale to develop his military. Asher Yale extended the reach of his domain southward and opened lands for irrigation and livestock. He also solidified his authority by garnering the favor of the people and giving out sufficient remuneration. With that, he had enough authority to construct a fort in the valley to prevent attacks from the enemies. After 7 months of resting, Augustus Sanster led his army of 5,000 strong to retake the dukedom. When he arrived in the valley and saw Fort Ivanhoe standing, he couldn't help but curse and launch a direct attack on the fort without siege equipment. It resulted obviously in a defeat for Sanster's army with huge losses. With that accomplishment, the Sanster kingdom treated the south with utmost cautiousness. The Sansters don't know what was happening beyond the fort and if the army of Yale could threaten them, but they are sure that as long as Fort Ivanhoe is standing, the kingdom of Yale is as good as impenetrable. With that in mind, a stalemate began between the three, all of which were apprehensive about their enemy's might. Going back to Matthias, from the east of the kingdom, he made his way towards the Whitesky Palace, the ruling domain of the old dukedom and the current kingdom of Yale. Standing at 300 feet high, the Whitesky Palace was adorned with white marble on the outside. A towering spiral cloud snaked to the top of the tower. Walls of white hard stone protected the perimeter of the tower. With its heavenly appearance is where it got its name. He walked towards the gate. In front stood 2 guards. One of the guards stopped him and asked in their language, "Elt and Sugway, what do you want?" "I came to see King Asher. I want to present something that could solidify his rule." Matthias smiled and answered using the same language, but the archaic version from thousands of years ago. The guards were a little confused by the archaic language, but they guessed what he meant. Upon entering the palace, Matthias saw children were being taught how to read and write there. To ensure their safety if ever the fort is breached, the young ones are to enter the Whitesky Palace for refuge. One of the guards said. Matthias nodded as an answer. Chapter 5 Yale and the Divine Church. They entered the tower and climbed stairs after stairs. After reaching the top, he saw a simple room with just enough necessary things for leadership. Behind a desk sat a 29-year-old man, whose looks were refined and eyes so deep with wiseness as if it endured the vicissitudes of life. "Could you leave us for a bit?" Matthias asked the guard. The guard looked at Asher questioningly and he nodded. The guard slowly backed off and left. "Who are you?" Asher Yale asked. Before answering, Matthias conjured a long thing wrapped in cloth, which bewildered Asher. Matthias slowly unraveled the thing, and as he finished unraveling the top part, he held onto something that looked like a handle. He slowly unsheathed the thing by holding onto the handle and slowly raising it while the other hand slid the cloth away, revealing a sword that shone with dazzling light. Asher looked at it in awe. He looked at the mysterious man questioningly. Matthias smiled and explained, "This has been forged long before the coronation of the first king of humanity." Hearing just that bit of part, Asher's eyes widened. But what's been said next will be even more of a shock to him. Quote, "This sword is stronger than any sword existing on this land, for it is tempered for 1,000 times, quenched in the heavenly lake, and blessed by the divinity of his power." Matthias secretly snickered. He absolutely exaggerated how it was made. He just forged it with the people of the East when he taught them how to forge and mine. This sword was the first sword that was successfully completed by the first humans. He hid it and ascended. When he discovered the functions of divinity, he poured his power onto the sword and created a holy sword. With its glistening divine light, it looked certainly new for Asher. "What is this?" Asher stammered as he looked at the sword. "This is the Sword of Gloria, a sword forged from the crystal skies. This is one of the 3 swords of humanity. The Sword of Gloria symbolizes faith." Matthias spoke solemnly as he handed it to Asher. "Guide the humans of the East to unify. I am here to help you." Matthias smiled and stood. "Who?" Asher slowly asked. "Are you?" "I am the 9th general under Lord Matthias, the creator. I am the mortal general under heaven, Wang Zhang," Matthias declared while he activated his divinity and released a small amount of power, making him shine with grandness. He also summoned his sky-piercing halberd that he created personally. Seeing this spectacle and a weapon foreign to him that looked like a spear but even more powerful, Asher half-kneeled and placed his fist on his chest. "Greetings, mortal general Wang Zhang. I shall train your men and lead them to battle, and you must come with me in the conquest. I shall teach you strategies to defeat soldiers 3 or even 10 times your army's size," Matthias declared. This event became the start of humanity's development in military warfare and technology. Asher introduced the mortal general under heaven to the people of Yale and started their military development. For the people, commoners upon commoners enlisted to become soldiers to protect their loved ones. Matthias introduced undiscovered mines and taught them how to mine efficiently and forge professionally. He introduced more sturdy armors and helmets, and weapons that are even more lethal and intimidating. He also made weights made of stones for training. He taught them how to fight using halberds and bows and arrows, and introduced them to cavalry horses. They learned how to fight on a horse, fight on formation, change formations, protect the ranged units, and proper retreat and movement. He also taught smart people, including Asher, how to become a general on the battlefield. He taught them formations and the proper use of units. Slowly but surely, a developed and disciplined army was forming inside the Kingdom of Yale, shaping the development of the kingdom into a new superpower. 15 years later, the army was ready. Over the course of 15 years, the kingdom of Sanster attacked 5 times and ended up failing. Now, on the 5th attack, the gates of Fort Ivanhel opened slowly. From there, Asher Yale with his new muscular body, prepared for war, came out with Matthias and their army of 20,000. Below the walls of Ivanhel laid hundreds of corpses, and flustered and scared soldiers retreating. 3,000 cavalrymen, 5,000 archers, and 12,000 footmen marched towards the escaping enemies. A new concept of warfare appeared in this march of Ivanhel. Banners flew with the wind, a blue banner with the symbol of the yellow sun and a sword vertically laid in the middle of the ball of fire. Hu, ah, ahu. Tunuan, shouts filled with strength and vigor reverberated across the valley, intimidating the enemies into surrendering. Cries of war horns sang across the field. In the 23rd year of Follows, the East will be introduced to another type of warfare, psychological warfare. Gloria glory, Asher shouted. Victus victory, the soldiers responded. Yale and Victus victory of Yale. Asher shouted once more. Matthias Nemas Victus victory in the name of Matthias. The soldiers responded. While yelling, one by one person per regiment raised a pole with a symbol of the shining sun. In the middle was a robed man holding a sword downwards, looking holy and mighty. This was the symbol of the divine church that they established inside the kingdom of Yale to worship Matthias. When the divine church was created, Wang Zhang stood in front of the divine cathedral that they built in those 15 years. He spoke of how the world was created and the beings of the world with it. At first there was none. The Lord Creator Matthias waved his hand and there appeared the land and sea, but an empty and dull sky. He noticed it and created a ball of fire and raised it up to illuminate the world. He let the ball illuminate the world, but the people need to rest, so he created the moon to gently illuminate the night. While talking, the symbol of the church at the top of the cathedral shone with divine light. Wang Zhang also faced the light and kneeled towards it. With him, the people of Yale kneeled and praised their God. He stood up and faced the people while bathing in divine light. He created lush lands. Matthias continued to create stories about the world's creation, convincing the people of Yale. He also introduced them to elves, the keepers of the world. Hearing the chants of the soldiers, Matthias smiled as he looked at the light of his divinity increasing. At the back of the army were people preaching the creation of the world. At this very moment, the world of Alphan welcomed its very first crusade. Chapter 6: The first large-scale conquest of Alphan. Those who bow down and worship the divine shall be granted mercy, but those who wish to stand in their ways shall be bathed with blood. On the 7th month of the 23rd year of Follows, in Ashenheim Pass, a pass directly connected to the walls of Grimoire, Hilo's capital city's wall. 50,000 armed Sanster forces were waiting for the arrival of the Yale army. They have heard the feats that the army have accomplished on the way north, which frightened them. In front of them was the marching army of Yale, holding their banners up high and the symbol of the divine church atop the banner. Surrender now, army of Sanster. The creator of the world is with us to unite the land. Asher yelled. How dare a mere peasant talk to a noble duke that way? You're seeking death. A general standing in front of the pass while holding his spear facing the sky sneered and shouted back. Position. The general yelled. The soldiers clumsily arranged themselves into groups and faced the enemies. Seeing that, Matthias facepalmed. The formations here are so primitive. Well, I can't blame them as they haven't really experienced war yet. They're going to suffer if the northern men discover the grasslands. Men, arrow formation. Let these guys taste what true formations are. General Salbio, a man trained by Matthias, raised his sword up high and waved it down while sitting on a horse. With his signal, the intimidating cavalry assumed a triangle formation made to pierce the enemy lines and accelerated towards the enemies. Archers, a skinny man with sharp eyes shouted and loaded his bow with an arrow that he got from his back, with all of the soldiers behind him following suit. Aim, he drew the bow and aimed it upward, with the soldiers following him. Fire. As soon as he yelled, fire, thousands of arrows flew up and curved down, going towards the enemy. No, It hurts. The arrows hit many enemy soldiers as the arrows reached them, messing up their positioning. Our return. The enemy general saw that they were at a disadvantage and turned to flee. The other soldiers followed suit and ran for their lives. But can man outrun a horse? Only if one is superhuman. The cavalry caught up with the running soldiers. Then, bloodshed began. The cavalry's spears pierced the backs of the soldiers. Then, when they arrived midway into the valley, archers appeared on top of the mountains and directly shot the panicking soldiers. After a while, the 50,000 soldiers of Sanster fell beneath the hooves and arrows of the Yale army. This battle became later known as the Battle of Ashenheim Pass, which shook the east. People will sing praises to Asher and his army of Yale that is guided by Wang Zhang, while people will also loathe Asher and the cruelty of the Yale army. When the Yale army exited Ashenheim Pass and entered the premises of the Sanster capital, the eastern kingdoms were shaken. To survive an assault of 50,000 men with 20,000 men is definitely an impossible feat for them. So, when the nobles of the two kingdoms were notified of the victory, they armed themselves to help the two kingdoms to resist the Yale army. If Asher was of noble birth or an official with high status, they would have supported him. But Yale is a ruler that descended from a commoner. When the Yale army arrived, they started the siege against Grimoire. The East was introduced to siege weapons. Battering rams, catapults, and ballistas were set up outside the walls of Grimoire. The gates of Grimoire were shaken by the ramming of the battering ram, stones were thrown inside the city by the catapults, and the bolts that were shot by ballistas impaled the soldiers and made them fly. A week later, the nobles of the two kingdoms gathered 50,000 men and journeyed to Grimoire. But when they saw the menacing formations and the gates that are already on the brink of destruction, they were terrified. They frantically formed a flimsy formation that was inspired by the marching formation of Yale. But will that be able to do anything? Boom, comma. Eventually, the gates of Grimoire flew wide open and the cavalry entered the city and was faced by the resistance army. Pikes were pointing towards the cavalry. When Matthias saw that, he became a little impressed. The adaptability of humans against their enemies was truly fast. But it's already late. Can they do anything to change the inevitable unity of the East? The horses galloped and suddenly turned around, which surprised the resistance. But suddenly, charge, kill. The soldiers of Yale appeared from behind the cavalry and charged when they turned around. The commoners inside the houses of Grimoire also appeared and ambushed the combined forces of Sanster and Nortos. Hours later, the last man of the resistance has fallen. Augustus Sanster was captured by the cavalry and was executed. Nobles who also tried to help Sanster were also executed and their wealth seized. After the tense atmosphere cooled down, the Divine Church took over and preached with Wang Zhang. While preaching, the sun shone brightly on the land, enchanting the citizens of Grimoire. They started to believe and kneeled while chanting and praising Matthias' name. Seeing that, Matthias smiled and looked at his divinity slowly rising. After the preaching, the army of Yale started enlisting men to be trained to now fully unite the land. Matthias then announced his departure. The Creator is already calling for me as I have completed my mission. He shall descend once the land is united again. May you spread his name for thousands of generations to come. After saying so, Matthias floated and was bathed with divine aura before vanishing. Seeing what had just happened, the citizens rejoiced and were in awe of their Creator's power. Gloria Nemas on Matthias. Glory to the name of Matthias. Gloria, Gloria Moon Victus. Glory with victory. Chapter 7 Involvement of the Northern Nomads. After that event, the Kingdom of Yale went through a lot of change. The Kingdom of Yale was renamed to the Empire of Sidian, that means the Empire of the Sun. Throughout the territories of Sidian, the religion of the Divine Church was spread. Tales of the Great Creation was told throughout the land, with the Bible of the Divine Church being sold to the masses. The year that this happened marked the first year of the Divine Calendar. In the second year of the Divine Calendar, Asher Yale implemented laws that would benefit the masses, like higher wages for those in the agricultural and military professions. Law enforcement officers are also recruited from all over Sidian to protect the citizens and prosecute criminals. Large-scale changes were also implemented inside the ruling house. Civil officials and military officials who were talented and wise were placed in their respective positions, even if they are commoners or nobles. Corruption dwindled as Asher caught corrupted officials and persecuted them and made them work in places that lacked laborers. The army of Sidian also didn't stop their attacks against Norden. They achieved victories after victories and successfully seized the Norden capital. When they should have seized the whole of Norden and successfully united the East, the Nomads of the North appeared. In the third year of the Divine Calendar, the men of the northern mountains under Akalumaru of the Duwei tribe discovered the city of Merden, a northern city under Norden. They were amazed and were filled with envy when they saw the lush green lands of the south. With Asura Boru of the New tribe and Kubo Tandu of the Sengu tribe, they gathered 10,000 men with their horses and launched an assault against the city, and successfully captured it. They continued to dominate the battlefield until the cavalry of Sidian appeared and stopped them from assaulting anymore. There then came battles after battles, achieving a total stalemate. While battles were occurring north of the empire, Asher Yale sent diplomats to request an audience with the elves of the Ansari. They talked about how the world was created by their creator and that the tree of life was created by him. They told the elves that the creator wanted them to treat the elves as their elders, as they were the first creations. This incensed the elves as they believed that their one and only God and creator is the tree of life. They banished the diplomats and pushed the humans of the east away. While all that was happening, Matthias was slack-jawed as he looked at the panel in front of him. You have achieved max FPs. You have risen from world deity level to world god. You have unlocked more features. Keep up the good work. What the heck is this? Every time you fill up your FP meter, your deity rank will evolve, making you stronger and wield more authority. Shira replied. Like what? Matthias asked. Like allowing the beings of your world to cultivate and allowing them to have special bloodlines. The reply shook Matthias. Matthias was excited and scared at the same time. I get to see immortal cultivators now. But what if they try to overthrow me? That could be solved by your religion. And even if you have no religion, you are still this universe's god. No one has higher authority than you here. Shira smiled and chuckled as she looked at his scared face. Phew, Matthias sighed with relief. Imagining flying immortals challenging his authority scared him a bit, and now, with the knowledge that that can't possibly happen, he was relieved. That is only until the recent stages of your creation though. Shira replied solemnly. What do you mean only until the recent stages? Matthias stammered. When you reach a certain level, your universe could possibly be connected to independent worlds or other creators' universes. Their inhabitants could enter your world although the rejection placed on them will be strong. But if they have the ability, they could possibly dethrone you and seize all your powers. Shira answered. How can I get stronger? Matthias yelled. Acquire more FPs and EPs. You could also use your authority to create an independent space and train there. Matthias' eyes lit up. Without waiting for Shira's instructions, he opened his panel and clicked on the creation panel. There he saw the independent space icon, and he clicked on it immediately. Shira interrupted him by saying, within independent spaces, you could set up laws that could even defy logic, but of course, it will cost you points. If you want to train, I suggest creating a demon realm or a chaos realm. How, you ask? Shira opened her supporting panel and opened the independent space icon and clicked it. She demonstrated how to create independent spaces and left them for him to digest. Matthias contemplated for a time, and when he was going to create the space, Shira interrupted him. The East has been reunited. Are you going to descend as you said? Shira asked. That was quick, Matthias said absent-mindedly. Not really quick, time is accelerated, remember. 59 years have already passed. Shira laughed. Oh, right, okay. Matthias cancelled the time acceleration. Shira also helped him to prepare for his descent. If you want to enchant them more with your glory, activate your divinity. It will automatically activate your divine light, divine authority, and creator authority. Shira reminded him. Matthias did what he was told and started his descent. The 59th year of the divine calendar. 56 years have passed since the war between the East and North began. When the war between the three tribes and Sidian entered into a stalemate, King Tyrus of the North discovered what the three tribes were doing and assumed leadership to go against the citizens of the East. Countless conflicts arose and blood was shed in these 56 years. Advancements in the military and technology were brought about to counter the northern invaders. The northern invaders also adapted the technologies of the East in their livelihood and easily became a powerhouse. Chapter 8 God. In the 39th year of the divine calendar, the first emperor of Sidian, Yale, was killed in the war. The crowned prince Yale was crowned as the second emperor by the divine church and led the empire of Sidian with his second brother General Yale and prime minister Yale to oppose the invaders. In the last month of the 58th year of the divine calendar, Yale killed King Tyrus, and with Prime Minister Canaan, they successfully persuaded the northern nomads to surrender and integrate into their society for a better life. With that victory, the Sidian Empire doubled in size and successfully reunited the lands. On the first day of the 59th year, Yale formally ascended the throne and announced the victory against the north. The divine church preached the speech of Wang Zhong that speaks of the Creator's descent to the world. While preaching, the sky opened and a blinding light shone upon the empire. Faint songs of preaching were heard behind the light until the light fully descended on top of the church. The light was soothing, healing some of the people's illnesses, making them kneel. The light slowly receded, revealing a white-cloaked man whose face shone brightly. He was holding a golden staff. I am the Creator, the one whose face is cloaked with light. The unity of the East and North signified a big event that could give humanity a chance of survival. To elevate the chances of humanity's survival more, I shall grant the second emperor and his lineage the royal sun bloodline. Discover its powers by yourself. For the masses, I shall give you a chance to cultivate. Cultivation is to strengthen yourself to possess power that can rival an army of thousands. Cleaving mountains, reaping open the skies, and having the seas. Matthias gave them a basic chi cultivation manual that Shira handed him. She made it to teach Matthias how to create techniques on his own. Cultivate so that you can stay in this world. Time will come when those with weak physiques will be ejected from this world. Only the strong will remain. Matthias added some false information to scare them a bit so that they cultivate diligently. I shall guide you. Rely on yourself, and you will be able to temper yourself from hardship and hard work. Rely on yourself and you will have with you your pride and trust. Rely on me, and you shall have my support, calmness, and allies who also believe in me behind you. You will have my whole divine kingdom with you. Rely on yourself and put your faith in me, and you shall be granted power like no other. The combined support of your allies, my divinity, my kingdom, and yourself will be behind you. Matthias said with mysticism, even he was persuaded by himself. But be aware, humanity is created in my image. And I am not perfect. Selfishness, greed, egotistic, and prideful are just some of the bad qualities of humanity. Matthias continued, but even though that is the case, humans also do have their good qualities. Righteousness, kindness, benevolence, and respectfulness are just some of humanity's good qualities. Be aware of love, for love is the highest form of emotion and power. Love is not the origin, but it has everything. Matthias was just casually speaking, but little did he know that everything he will say will be going down to the annals of history. Love is always the same and ever-changing. Love can make you weak just as love can make you strong. Love can make you powerful just as love can make you weak. Love can make you happy just as love can make you sad. Love can make you comfortable just as love can make you uneasy. Love can make you alive just as love can make you wish you were dead. Love can make you keen just as love can make you stupid. Love is everything but never nothing. Love can make you whole but never empty. That's why love is everything but never nothing. As soon as he finished, the people's minds were filled with new knowledge transcending their time. They knew of love, they lived and existed with it. But what their creator just said made them more enlightened about the said topic. The world will be filled with order and chaos. Prepare yourselves, protect your loved ones, and get stronger. If there will ever be a god from all of you, I will be waiting to hand you one of the seats inside my kingdom. Matthias slowly rose, and raised his staff, bathing the land with his divine light once more. Glory to the Creator. Thank you for healing me, Creator. Praise be to you, O God. The people of Sidian kneeled and praised and worshipped him. When Matthias came back from Alphan, he saw a smiling Shira looking at him. He felt a little weird. What's with that look? Your execution was amazing, host. Look at your FPs. Matthias looked at his FPs just like she said, and what he saw shocked him. 900,000 FPs. And it's still rising. Matthias' eyes bulged. He didn't expect it to rise this fast. Your religion is the source of your power. And every single being that worships you can add FPs to your divinity. It also depends on their loyalty and devotion. You have healed many people with your divine light and divine aura, so many were so devoted to worshipping you. A man who is devoted to your name can add at least 100 FPs per minute. You could imagine how many people were devoted to you when you personally descended. Shira replied. Matthias looked at the mortals below. They were kneeling and calling his name passionately. The Pope of the Divine Church preached the creation of the world and called upon his name and glorified him. I should create a sacred text. Yeah, I really need to create a sacred text. Matthias nodded and conjured a blank book and a pen. Shira saw what he was doing and quickly stopped him. What are you doing? Why are you making it hard for yourself by writing it all manually? Shira slapped his head. Chapter 9, The Divine Kingdom. Ouch, what should I do? Conjure a full text out of nowhere. Matthias yelped. Aren't you able to create an independent space now? Then create your divine kingdom. Shira retorted. You're right, but what's that gotta do about writing a sacred text? Matthias nodded at first, but when he thought about it carefully, he asked furiously. Create your divine kingdom first by filling the space with your divinity, then open the Sacred Objects tab in your Divinity tab, then tap the sacred text. It will immediately create an empty book filled with your divinity. Think of what you want to write on your sacred text and you're done. Understand? Shira answered. Oh, okay. Matthias did as told and created an independent space. When he entered the independent space, there was nothing but a void, just like when he first arrived and before he created the world. He released his divinity and it did all the work for him. The light shone brightly inside the void, filling it with a holy and heavenly aura. Slowly but surely, his divinity refined the void and turned it into a golden domain. Golden clouds also started to appear all around. Matthias thought of an awesome idea and willed his divinity. Golden clouds spiraled and gathered in the middle of the space for a while. After it dispersed, a majestic, holy, and awe-inspiring castle emerged. Its white, shiny towers rose as high as the eye could see. Its circular walls enunciated its grandness. A silver gate with a golden rim decorated with a sun in the middle looked so sturdy that it can likely hold for 1,000 years while being bombarded with meteor every 30 seconds. He willed it once again and the golden clouds rose high on the corners of the space. When the golden clouds receded, an imposing circular wall appeared in the corners of the space. He raised his hand up high and houses emerged from the golden clouds that filled up the outside and the inside of the castle. He opened the Independent Space tab and looked at the options that he could add. He looked for a while and saw what he looked for. Summoning Crystal could create and conjure existing souls for the independent space. He bought it and, in his hand, appeared a football-sized diamond-shaped crystal. He placed it below the outer walls where the imposing castle with its gate could be seen. He set it up by making the crystal summon dead souls that are kind. After he had done that, the crystal shone brightly, and it grew bigger. A portal appeared on its sides. Matthias saw that, and he quickly flew away and stood atop the palace. After doing so, souls appeared from the portal. When the souls arrived here, they were confused but excited. Where am I? Did I die? Is this the divine kingdom of the Creator? I think it is. My devotion was correct. Gloria Nemas Matthias. Souls that were once wandering on the mortal world ascended and entered the divine kingdom that Matthias created. The souls of the old soldiers, citizens, and believers of the old Yale kingdom appeared. The founding emperor is here. What? A stout man appeared from the portal. He was wearing a golden cape, signifying him being royalty. The royal empress is also with the emperor. Behind the man, a beautiful woman also appeared. She was wearing a beautiful white dress. Her youthful and elegant appearance made the people kneel. Greetings, Emperor Asher and Empress Alia. It turned out that the man was Asher Yale, who once led his men to unite the East, and his wife. The founding pope is also here. An elderly man appeared whilst holding a staff with the symbol of the divine church. He was wearing a white robe and a white sun-shaped headdress. Greetings, Pope Alphan, the masses greeted. You need not bow to me anymore. We are in the kingdom of our Creator. I believe everyone is equal here as long as we worship him. The Pope waved his hand, dismissing the kneeling crowd. What's with those people with a pointy ear? The elves also arrived. The elf was filled with a graceful aura while another elven woman was beside him, scanning the place. Greetings, elders. Pope Alphan bowed and placed his fist on his chest. The emperor and the empress also followed suit. Greetings, elders. Elders. What elders? Have you forgotten? When Lord General Wang Zhang preached, he said that they were the first creations. Someone said. Really? Seeing the humans bow to him, the elf was confused. You could speak the ancient language of the elves. Who are you? The elf asked. We do not. I am also confused, the Pope answered. He knew he heard what the elf said in his language. By now, Matthias spoke with a deep and holy voice. Welcome to my divine kingdom, my subjects. Your goodness has impressed me, so I have granted you the passage to my kingdom. Everyone is equal here. Treat one another as brothers and sisters. If you don't want it here, return to the summoning crystal and enter the cycle of reincarnation, forgetting everything. Greetings, Creator. Pope Alphan greeted with fervor and glee as he kneeled subserviently. The others followed suit, chanting his name. Treat the divine kingdom as your home. If you continue to worship me, you will be allowed to stay inside the residences. If you don't want to worship me, you can enter the cycle of reincarnation and forget everything. The souls here will be granted the knowledge of all speak when you arrive here, making the divine kingdom under one and absolute divine language. Your words could enlighten the mortals below. I grant my subjects Alaman, Asher, Alia, and Tariel, and Anriel the rank of Archangel in my divine kingdom. They will become the first 5 angels of my domain. You will be granted passage to the inner halls of my palace. Manage your brothers and sisters for me. I grant the first believers of my religion and the soldiers who fought to spread my name the rank of angel. They will be granted permission to live within the houses surrounding my palace inside the walls of my castle. The souls who died that worshipped me who didn't have the qualifications to become an angel will live in the houses outside the walls of Mythos. Devote yourself to me more so that you can become angels. The job of angels is to complete divine missions handed out to you by your respective archangels. The Archangel's responsibility is to protect the divine kingdom and descend to other worlds to spread my name once you are ordered to. Now, go forth and live inside my kingdom. Yes, Lord. Praise to you, Creator. Chapter 10 Hell. After the ruckus, Matthias entered his palace. The crystal will continue to summon souls that died from the past and present that are devoted to him. Many had already died from the past due to old age. Tons of souls are still entering the space, so it will take a long time. He opened the Sacred Objects tab and selected to create his sacred text. He started the text by writing the creation, his wills upon creation, laws that govern those who believed in him, beliefs that he wants his devotees to understand, prayers to grant strength to his devotees, and incantations to summon angels or archangels to fight evil creatures. After writing it, he materialized it using his divinity and the prayers of the devotees. He created copies and distributed them to the angels and archangels. He also created one copy to give to the divine church on Alphan. He exited the independent space and created an opening in the clouds. He slowly lowered the sacred text down towards the preaching Pope. When the people saw the descending book filled with holy aura, they all kneeled. The Pope looked at the sacred text and held out his hand. Thank you for your generous gift, Creator. Thank you, Creator. They all shouted fervently, enthusiastically receiving the descending book. The Pope caught hold of it and slowly stood up, and as the light in the opening slowly receded. This is the will of creation. The sacred text of the Creator and also our divine church. We shall hand out copies of the sacred text for the masses. Gloria Nemas Matthias. The Pope shouted happily as he announced the book. Gloria, praise his name. When he did that, his FP rose dramatically. He looked at it with glee. You could convert your FPs to CPs in a 5:1 ratio. You now have 1.4 million FPs. Shira said when he finished. That many? Then exchange. How much do I need to create an independent space again? Matthias asked. The first one is free as that was made for you to become your habitat. The second one and the others will cost you 40,000 CPs. She replied. Then exchange half of my current FPs to CPs and create another independent space. As soon as he said that, his FP was deducted by a certain amount and in his CP appeared an additional 160,000. Your CP balance is 1.39 million. I thought my FP was 1.4 M. Why was my CP added with 160,000? He asked confusedly. Time runs below. The normal time dilution is 1 minute, here is 2 years below. The rate of you receiving FPs is very fast. Shira answered. Matthias nodded, convinced. On his platform where he stands to watch the world, he could see Alphan below him. On the right side was an orb gleaming with golden light, his divine kingdom. On his left was an orb filled with blackness and void, the new independent space. Matthias did what he was instructed to and placed his hand on the orb. A panel appeared in front of him indicating the database of the independent space and what could be added. He edited it and what the finished product looked like was something like this. Independent space, endless hell. Time dilution Alphan time 5, 1. Space type, soul space, material space. Laws, soul summon, demon body creation, endless battle, weapon creation, slaughter chi acquisition, unlimited reincarnation, world authority. This is cool, I'll enter this domain now, Shira. I'll hand you the authority if ever anything dangerous happens that involves the destruction of my world. Matthias laughed. Okay, host, thank you for your trust. Shira smiled and bowed. He willed it while holding the orb and he vanished on the spot. When he reappeared, he was standing in a dull, empty, and rocky world. The skies were dull red, and behind him was a summoning crystal situated on a rock platform. Beside him was a stick. When he conjured it, the stick flew to him and it became a long spear halberd. It was simple looking, but it felt imposing. Its one-sided blade looked very sharp. Its shaft was gray and metallic. He looked around and saw tall rock platforms that were just like the one that he was standing on very far away. He ran towards the middle and waited. Minutes while running, the tall platforms hummed and red light pulsed from the summoning crystal. Where is this place? Boss, didn't I kill you already? And what's with your red skin and horns? You asshole, you're here, you also have red skin and horns. But, don't worry, I'll skin you and cut your horns myself. How would you do that without a weep? Here's my weapon. Chaos enveloped the platforms. Weapons appeared near them, prompting them to fight with each other. Suddenly, what creature is this? A big humanoid monster with dark green skin and tusks growing from its bottom jaw. Ulgar. The big monster looked at the puny humans and shouted with glee. When Matthias heard the war cry, he shook his head. The orcs have arrived. Suddenly, thousands upon thousands of same-looking creatures emerged from all 4 platforms and started a slaughter. The lucky ones already left the platform and headed to their respective paths. Their minds were ingrained with knowledge of crafting their weapon and that this world is entirely made with materials for crafting. The miserable ones were killed and reincarnated once more, experiencing the same slaughter. It took a long while before they started to learn how to escape. The orcs also noticed that many humans were escaping, so they started to spread out. With them living in a very harsh environment, they easily adapted to the dull environment, which was the opposite case for the humans who might take a long time to adapt. Chapter 11 Grombash Shadowbanner. Matthias journeyed the dull land. He thought that it lacked some dangerous terrain, so he controlled the independent space and created marshes, mountains, cliffs, rocky canyons, rifts, and craters. He also created powerful minerals for crafting. It could create competitions, factions, and conflict. When he stops his journey, he sometimes lays down on the rocky field and also practice wielding his weapon. 4 days later, he encountered his first opponent. That's a good weapon you got there, boy. Give it to me, and I'll leave you. Understand? A creepy man with a dagger as his weapon looked at him with malicious intent. What a dumb man. Matthias shook his head with disappointment. What are you shaking your head for, boy? Don't you know that I'm the terror of Yumun Street? The man furiously yelled. You're noisy, Matthias said emotionlessly and swung his spear, killing the man. 2 days later, he was faced with a true opponent. My name is Grombash Shadowbanner. I don't kill insignificant and unknown individuals. With your imposing weapon, I know you're strong. Who are you? The orc yelled. A great orc shall cause destruction upon 1,000 miles. Greetings, chieftain of the Shadowbanner horde. I am Matthias Kane, the creator of worlds. Matthias was an individual who was proud of powerful and brave creatures. An orc like Grombash is an opponent that he was proud to have. Now, let us duel. Grombash Shadowbanner nodded and charged. Matthias smiled and waved his spear. He then also charged towards the proud orc. Grombash raised his battle axe up high and slashed down, which was evaded by Matthias. Matthias counterattacked by slashing his spear on the orc's side. The orc jumped back and attacked once more. This battle went on and on for so long that even the other demonized souls reached the area that produces a huge shockwave every now and then to watch their fight. Days have passed since they arrived in this hell. Some already discovered the slaughter chi that could be acquired by killing. Some brave souls tried to assassinate them to acquire their slaughter chi but failed miserably when the orc and the human banded together to kill the assailant. The battle went on for days and nights even though there's no sun and moon. It was the 15th day when they stopped. No one won. They were lying on the ground, gasping for air. Matthias slowly stood up and walked towards the weakened orc. Kill me, I am proud to be killed by you. The orc resignedly said. You are a worthy opponent, Grombash. I, as a person who has authority in this world, could grant you anything that you want. Weapon, power, knowledge, and even reincarnation. You could go back to Alphan and lead your land once more. Tell me, Matthias said, which startled the orc. Why, you could defeat me with your powers, but why did you fight me physically and fight me for days? Didn't you want to win? The orc asked. I fought not because of winning, but because of finding a rightful opponent. No one would be able to defeat me if I used my powers, so why would I use it in a match? And besides, you, as a creature that I created, embodies an orc that is rarely seen in any universe, a noble orc. One who respects the strength of his opponents, one who can accept his loss, and one who is proud and brave. So why would I defeat you? Matthias smiled. So, what do you want, proud warrior? Grombash thought for a moment. A while later he looked at Matthias. I can think of nothing besides the betterment of my tribe. Hearing that, Matthias laughed. I expected that would be your answer. Now, as the ruler, I elevate your horde in this domain to the race of war demons, the peak of the orc race. I also grant you the rank of duke, granting you and your race a territory. Your tribe will now be able to reincarnate on your domain. I grant the current chieftain of your tribe the knowledge of body tempering and the whereabouts of the divine continent where humans and elves reside. Divine continent, there is another land. The orc's eyes grew wide open. Yes, do you think those weak people just came out of nowhere? Matthias looked at the clueless orc amusingly. Now, I shall grant you your reward. He waved his hand, and some orcs across the battlefield transformed. Their muscles grew rapidly, the horns that they had when they turned into a demon grew longer and taller, and their strength grew rapidly. Grombash transformed like them, and wings also sprouted behind him. The watching crowd were baffled by the sudden change. They ran for their lives because they were scared. When the transformation finished, Grombash stood up slowly. His skin was covered with reptilian-like scales, his eyes were blood red, and his hair grew long, and his horns were longer than his underlings. The orc was silent for a while, admiring his newfound power. Am I still an orc? He asked. Yes, orcs were boars that were given a drop of a war demon's essence blood. Matthias nodded while reading the introductions about orcs. The orc went silent. Suddenly, he kneeled, which baffled Matthias. What are you doing? I pledge my allegiance unto you, Lord. Accept me. The deep and scary voice of the orc resounded in the silent surroundings. Are you sure? Matthias asked. Yes, Lord, the orc insisted. An orc fights to the death, but a wise orc submits to someone strong and stays loyal to his master until the end. Matthias smiled and laughed loudly. I accept your allegiance, Grombash. I shall grant you the title of Multaz. Warlord. The orc's eyes shone. Suddenly, in one of the craters, a tall pillar rose to the sky. I gave you the authority 1,000 kilometers around that pillar. That will be your domain. Prepare yourselves, as I will summon true demons tomorrow. They will be powerful. Matthias reminded him and flew away. When he was gone, Grombash flew to his territory and stood at the top of the pillar. He used his authority to create a horn and blew on it. The horn was heard around the realm. When the orcs of the Shadowbanner horde heard it, they rushed towards the pillar. Thousands upon thousands of orcs rushed towards the pillar and assembled there. When there's no orc arriving anymore, the earth beneath the territory quaked and parted, then, stone walls rose from the gap, protecting the territory. When the first second of the next day arrived, Matthias accessed the independent space panel and created demons that had fast reproduction speed. Chapter 12 Demons. After doing so, meteors descended from the sky. When it hit the land, hideous demons with blood-red skin and dark horns and eyes appeared. When they saw their opposite genders, they lunged towards them and mingled. When they were done, the females instantly laid thousands of eggs. There were 100 female demons and they laid hundreds of thousands of eggs. They rested for a while and spread throughout the realm and wreaked havoc. He opened his independent space panel and tapped, leave. He appeared on his platform while Shira was watching the world below. You're back so soon? She asked. Nah, I'm just going to accelerate time a bit. He answered and opened his independent space panel for hell. Spend 40,000 CPs to accelerate time for 100 years. The system asked. That's a hell of an amount for 100 years. Matthias cried out. Shira laughed. That's normal. Your hell is filled with souls and powerful beings. A lot could happen in those 100 years. Oh, okay. Matthias realized it and nodded as he understood. He confirmed it and the orb spun rapidly. Half a minute later, and it stopped. I'm going to go back. See you later. Okay, master. Shira nodded. When he arrived inside hell, he was dumbstricken. Hell, what happened? The world was in a mess. A three-way war occurred between them. Another Duke of Hell was elevated when that person bathed in the blood of thousands. Duke, Blood Demon, Saranjit. He led his legion against Duke Multas while Multas brought the other orcs to his domain and started the Orc Demon War. The humans also made a coalition led by Altius Nuska, a powerful noble that led his men to rebel against Asher Yale because he detested commoners. Although he is disgusted by commoners, he learned his lesson and instead used them to do dirty things for him in this hell. The humans usually ambushed both orc and demons every time they had a chance to. 100 years ago, human souls that arrived in hell dwindled without the humans knowing why. But they persisted and went to war with the two other races, but ended up losing. 70 years ago, Altius was captured and was tortured inside the Blood Demon Dukedom. The other humans were enslaved by the two races. Now that Matthias arrived, he descended and started fighting countless demons. Slowly but surely, the demons' numbers dwindled. When it was already so obvious, Saranjit led his men to hunt down the perpetrator. When the news arrived on the Multas Dukedom, Grombash smiled. The Lord has returned. Sound the horns. The blaring of horns resounded throughout the territory. The orcs assembled for war and marched towards the massacre. Near the Blood Demon Dukedom. Oh, wow, I didn't know that they could elevate themselves to the Duke rank without my authority. Matthias laughed. He saw the huge pillar far from him. He knew that that wasn't the pillar of Multas Dukedom. Arg, a demon suddenly pounced at him. He slashed at the demon and killed it immediately. I could live in this realm for fun. Matthias laughed wholeheartedly while killing demons. Suddenly, warning, a demon from the mysterious abyss entered your hell space. Trying to eject the intruder. Failed, elevated the demon's rank into prince. Matthias froze on the spot. An intruder, a demon from the mysterious abyss. The mysterious abyss is an immortal rank naturally occurring independent space that stretches out infinitely. The space's age could be said to be as old as the universe. What does it mean if someone invaded my space that is from mysterious abyss? Matthias asked, unnerved. A battle could take place. But you are the indefinite ruler of this space, host. Your power exceeds that of the systems. The system said. Matthias breathed heavily. His eyes then went cold. Now, where is this demon? The system then rapidly changed into a map and pinpointed a location. Matthias willed it and placed a very powerful suppression in that area. He then teleported to that place and looked at the demon. The demon was 7 foot tall, he had a large muscle, and his eyes were looking warily at the newfound person. Who are you? The demon asked. I was the one who wanted to ask you that question. Matthias said coldly. And what gives you the right? The demon chuckled haughtily. Because I am the ruler of this space. Matthias yelled loudly, strengthening the pressure on the demon. Quote exclamation mark. Quote. The demon was shocked. He didn't expect to meet the owner of the space immediately. Why are you here? Matthias asked threateningly. A rift going to this space appeared in my domain. The demon yelled. Take me to the mysterious abyss. Matthias said. Ha, I could kill you there. The demon laughed frighteningly. The demon wanted to scare Matthias to let him go, but then. What did you do to me? The demon shrieked. I enslaved your soul. That is one of the laws in this space. Total soul enslavement, Matthias chillingly said as he wiped out the resistance of the soul, making the demon submit to him willingly and kneel. What is your name? Kalthos von Damaral Kudzre Mansto Kalpon Sigendias. What rank are you in the mysterious abyss? Count. Take me to the rift. Yes, master. The demon stood up and showed the path to Matthias. They arrived on the very edge of the space. There, a huge tear could be seen, inside it was terrifyingly red. Flames could be seen anytime. I need to prepare. Matthias conjured his creation panel and created a spear filled with a demonic aura. He also made himself transform into a demon, making him unlock the demon tab in the divinity panel. He converted all of his FPs into demon power and he was filled with disgustingly powerful strength. What level could I be inside the mysterious abyss? Matthias wondered. You will be a peak rank count, master. Once you arrive there, you will be given territory and underlings. The demon answered emotionlessly. Still just a count, I already feel that I could destroy this realm if I wanted to. And did you say that I'd be given territory? Is the mysterious abyss still not full in the long time that it existed? Matthias asked. Constant conflicts occur in the mysterious abyss, master. Some could be kicked out. And even if the abyss is full, you will still have your territory because the mysterious abyss expands infinitely. The demon answered truthfully. Okay, let's go. Matthias breathed out and jumped to the rift with the demon. Chapter 13 The Mysterious Abyss. When they arrived, Matthias felt the scorching heat surrounding him. Let me fight your underlings. They surely existed for a long time and know how to fight, right? Matthias ordered. Sure, master. The demon Kalthos nodded and ordered his underlings to fight Matthias. With this began the long and legendary tale where a god entered the mysterious abyss as a demon and became a superpower in just hundreds of thousands of years. Briefing everything that happened in those hundreds of thousands of years, he fought the demons of Kalthos and learned how to fight for 3 years. He left the domain of Kael'thas and fought random demons for hundreds of years. He then met Elias, an old noble emperor who made wrong choices and was regretting and suffering in the abyss. Elias took pity on the barbaric fighting skills of Matthias with his potential and took him in as a disciple. Elias and Matthias traveled the abyss, fighting and learning things. They were summoned to independent worlds that could summon demons, which amazed Matthias. They were also involved in wars between dukes of the abyss, letting Matthias learn things about leading, warfare, and psychological tactics. Elias also taught many things besides fighting, like handling a kingdom, engaging in an all-out war, mistakes that must be avoided when leading a kingdom, and forming an elite guard. Elias perished in a conflict in his 50,000th year in the abyss, which prompted him to found his own kingdom in the abyss. With the help of Kael'thas and the subordinates that he recruited, he conquered a lot of territories. His rank also rose from peak rank count to mid-rank duke. With his reputation, he garnered the title of the Duke of Vengeance and was feared by the surrounding domains. Tens of thousands of years later, Matthias fully established the kingdom of Taros. Countless demons ravaged the territories surrounding them. Other demon kingdoms declared war on Taros and chaos ensued. More than 100,000 years later, Matthias established his sovereignty over the southern abyss. He also ascended to become a prince-rank demon and closed on the title of Demon King. He then visited other independent worlds and learned there, from craftsmanship, magic, utilization of energy, advanced technology, war vessels, space vessels, and even AI. When he felt that he no longer had anything to learn, Matthias handed the leadership of the kingdom to his trusted demon confidant, and returned to the rift. He reappeared inside his independent space hell, and surveyed the surroundings. He was different from the naive man who entered hundreds of thousands of years ago. His knowledge now was more superior than ever before. This is crude. Hell needs more hardship. Matthias snorted and opened his independent space panel. He adjusted the terrain to the extreme where any single wrong step could kill anyone. He also spread out lava and even lava oceans. He created storm clouds with literal acid rain and constant storms and hurricanes. He also summoned countless demon races like succubi, winged demons, destruction demons, decay demons, spirit demons, chaos demons, overlord demons, and some demon kings. He accumulated tons of creation points when he was in the abyss and some independent worlds. He even absorbed some huge stars to convert into creation points. His creation points reached 7.8 billion. He consumed 4 billion points to apply a new law to his hell in the Divine Kingdom, infinite expansion. He created demon beasts in hell where they will also be a variable for resource wars. He looked at the state of hell now. He nodded with satisfaction. He looked at the state of the first demons. Duke Multus killed Duke Blood Demon in war and kicked the true demons out of their way. A human became strong enough to become a baron and established his barony in the south. They submitted to Duke Multus and, currently, Multus is the current superpower in hell. But that won't be long as countless demons have entered the domain, and there are a lot of stronger foes compared to the low-rank demons that could reproduce rapidly. But, that needs to be given time. He exited the space and entered his divine kingdom. There, the aura of faith was so rich that he was so intoxicated. He missed the feeling of faith coming to him. He remembered that he was currently in his demon form, so he reverted into his holy and mighty God form. The palace suddenly shone with heavenly light, alarming the souls and angels. Lord Creator is back. Greetings, Lord. When he entered the magnificent throne hall inside the palace, he inhaled slowly. He walked steadily towards the throne and summoned his gold staff. His outfit turned into a white cloak that's rim is golden. 6 pairs of wings made of golden light appeared behind him. He climbed the stairs towards the holy throne and sat on it, full of pride, holiness, and purity. His face was also automatically shrouded with divine light. The 5 archangels Asher, Alaman, Alia, and Tariel, and Anariel appeared inside the hall and knelt towards him with reverence. Greetings, Lord. Their aspects have changed so much since the last time they saw each other. Inside the faith-filled atmosphere of the divine kingdom, their aura changed and some people's prayers and faith were also directed to them, transforming them into 4 winged archangels. Their clothing was pure white armor with a cloth inside with the same color. Their eyes had a hint of golden sparkle within them, and weapons if their choices were held by them while kneeling. At ease, Matthias smiled behind his light-shrouded face and waves his hand down. They understood and they stood up. The archangels sensed that their creator felt a little more mysterious now. Tell me, what has happened to my divine kingdom when I was away? Matthias asked. Chapter 14 Sins. 1. My lord, angels have quadrupled in numbers when you were away. There are some special angels that when they arrived here, their souls automatically became an angel. Archangel Alaman answered respectfully. Matthias' curiosity was piqued. He had seen countless angels in wars on independent worlds. Some angels were so pure and holy that they are the bane of demons on the battlefield. It was said that those angels, when they ascended, directly became a holy entity and that the heavens nurtured them well. Bring them here, Matthias ordered. They nodded and unfurled their wings and flew away. A while later, they came back with 5 angels that were shining with pure light. They really are the divine angels. Matthias murmured. Introduce yourselves, my subjects, Matthias said. Greetings, Lord, I am your humble servant, Tariel of the Saw lineage of elves. A beautiful, elven woman spoke with respect towards him. My humble servants are those of my religion, those who worshipped me when they were alive. Has the divine church reached the kingdom of Ansari? Matthias asked. Gloom covered the face of Tariel. Matthias noticed that a frown appeared on his face. He walked towards Tariel and placed his hand on her shoulder. Tell me what happened, Tariel. She hesitated but eventually spoke. 200 years after the war against the orcs, the human kingdoms enslaved elves and abused them, made them sex slaves. They abused the power that was given to them and threw the land into chaos. My mother was molested and was killed by a human. I escaped and found the remnants of the first divine church. They were believers of the laws, paths, and guides of the will of creation. At first, I was afraid of humans. But Pope Aldous took care of me even though I was different from them. He said that our race were humanity's elders because we were the first creation. So, they respected me and I became their saintess. Although the first divine church's remnants are small, they were filled with solidarity compared to the corrupted New World religion. Years later, we were found out by the people of the New World religion and were hunted down. We made the younger ones escape but we ultimately perished. Her sad and melancholic voice resounded with her crying. Matthias was shocked and angry at the same time. He made the laws to at least keep the majority of his believers kind but, looking at what Tariel said, he was mistaken. Matthias hugged her to comfort her while patting her back. Later, he asked for the other angels' names. The others introduced themselves as Hane, a woman from the Age of Unity, when the Sidian Empire united the continent, Tariel, a man from Sidian that was conceived in the presence of an elven elder, Crush, a man from a new kingdom called the Senian Kingdom that was enslaved by the orcs on the Age of War, when orcs invaded the West. And there is Calypsis, a kid that was slain by his father. Alaman said that when Calypsis died, he was still smiling at his father as if the man had done nothing wrong, which attacked the conscience of the father, making him break down. With what he has heard, he was feeling something bad is going to be seen by his eyes. Noticing from their stories that a lot has changed since he was gone, he prepared his divine kingdom because he might not be going back inside anytime soon. He waved his staff and granted the 5 the rank of domination angels. He blessed them with his holiness and divinity and made them more holy and have more authority over angels. He also promoted the first 5 archangels into seraphims, to govern the 4 directions of his divine kingdom. He then elevated some angels that were once generals of the battlefield and promoted them into archangels. Other angels also varied, they were promoted to become either war angels, light angels, and guardians. He expanded the domain outside and inside the walls. He created heavenly beasts like the Pegasi, unicorns, holy doves, light deers, high elks, and so on. He then left the space. When he exited, he was bombarded by system notifications. You have received a total of 7 million CPs. You have received a total of 40 million FPs. As your divinity is filled up, your rank was elevated into great deity. You have unlocked new items in the shop. As your divinity is filled up, your rank was elevated into great god. You have unlocked new items in the shop. You have been permitted to create new worlds. As your divinity is filled up, your rank was elevated into realm deity. You have unlocked new items in the shop. Because your rank has been elevated more than 2 times, you have received a world tree seed. You could plant it in a high rank world. Chaos ensues in your world. Your world is currently 97% destroyed. Once destroyed, it will go into a cycle and reform the world. What the F? Matthias nearly went mad when he heard the last notification. Although he was elated at first, his world being destroyed is the last thing he wants to happen. Shira heard him and turned around. Master, why did your points skyrocketed? What did you do? She cried out. I've been gone for hundreds of thousands of years, that's why. Matthias answered. Chapter 15 Sins. 2. No, you've been gone for just some 100 years based on the time here. It's been just 9 some hours. Shira retorted. No, I went to the mysterious abyss. Matthias replied. Did you just say the mysterious abyss? The mysterious abyss. Her eyes bulged when she heard the place. Why, you've been there? Matthias curiously asked. No, that place is notorious. It is said it is filled with demons from all sorts of worlds. How did you even get there? Shira asked incredulously. Someone found a rift going to my hell and entered it. I enslaved the demon then entered that place. I learned some things and became a demon prince. Matthias calmly replied, but it brought an even more shock to the girl. What the? A rift formed inside your space. I'll fix that up for you. Wow, these laws sure are sturdy. But you became a demon prince. What the heck did you do? Shira wanted to fix the space first but found out that the laws were updated and it was solid. But she remembered the other thing that he said and was dumbfounded. It's a long story. But what happened here? Matthias waved his hand to dismiss the topic and returned to ask what happened to the world. Here's the thing, Master. Shira started to tell what happened. When the war between the orcs and the human-elf coalition ended, the Divine Church was attacked with insults because of the huge casualties. The people said that the divinity did not protect them and that the god is a fake. Some took advantage of the conflict and established a new church called the New World Religion. They said that the god of the Divine Church was weak and that the world needs itself to lead. They said that the world gave them the authority to become his representative. Nobles supported the new religion and suppressed the old Divine Church. Some commoners were also resentful with the divinity as they thought that he didn't protect them and that the god does not exist, but the world does, so they believed in the New World Religion. The Divine Church was treated as a heretic church that believed in false gods. Some stood loyal to the Divine Church and hid with it. Years passed, and the Divine Church was destroyed by the New World. Only remnants existed that prayed to the divinity. The elves were also treated as heretics as they do not believe in the world and, instead, they only believed in the Tree of Life. They tried to chop off the Tree of Life, but failed. So, they just burned it down. Although it was slow, the Tree of Life became charred after a year. That year, the nights were bright because of the burning tree. The sky seemed to be angry as drought ravaged all the lands. Wars between kingdoms sent the people into despair. Contention for resources was apparent. Although the world was filled with primordial energy, humans forgot how to utilize the energy to cultivate and resorted to technological advancements with gas and coal as catalysts, polluting the atmosphere. They polluted the seas, and started the conquest of the Orcish continent. They were defeated by the orcs and instead started bombing them, ruining their land and killing and wounding the orcs greatly. The cunningness of humankind was slowly destroying the world. When she finished, Matthias was utterly mad. How dare they? I gave them lush lands, a good life, and I even warned them against the orcs, then they're going to blame me when they didn't try to cultivate properly. I guess I'll need to purge these useless beings out of my main world. Matthias yelled angrily. Okay, since they're still my creation, then I'll just kick them out of my world. System, create a new world. Matthias yelled. You don't have to create a new world. I sense that you have a world tree seed in you. Shira interrupted. Yes, how could that help me kick these bastards out? Matthias breathed in and out to calm himself. Plant the world tree seed. It will upgrade your world into a plane, a higher form of a world. It is flat and expands more easily than a planet-type world. The price you need to pay is to have the population of your world. The world tree will give birth to worlds with downgraded laws and sparser energy. You could kick those people there. The realm tree could also give birth to random beasts that could be bought by a universal god. Shira ended. Wow, purge I'm okay about that, I'll kick them to hell. Matthias laughed coldly. He descended the world and planted the seed in the middle of the ocean. He then flew up high and flew towards the Tree of Life. At night, he placed his hand on it and sent orders to all the existing elves. He also sent a message to the remnants of the Divine Church. Hide, protect yourselves, judgment upon the sinful humankind shall be exacted. Throughout the continent, elves were alarmed by the sudden warning from their Tree of Life. They knew it wasn't the Tree of Life, so they thought about the other person who could access the Tree of Life, the Creator. They started to hide and prepare themselves. The next morning, the sun didn't shine. Clouds were covering the entire sky, which was odd for the humans. But for the elves, they were overjoyed because they know that Judgment Day is already happening. They hid and prayed to the Creator. All of them prayed from their respective homes and underground hiding spots. It was a gloomy day, but suddenly, woo! Chapter 16 Judgment Day, New Era. When he returned to his creation, he instructed the demons and the angels that they were opposites and are arch-enemies. They must annihilate the other race once seen. But when the call of the ruler is sounded, they must cooperate with one another. When the horn was resounded, which startled the humans, portals appeared on the sky and the earth. Countless angels appeared and looked at the mortals below coldly. Then, the 4 seraphims and 5 dominations descended, looking at humans with disappointment, disgust, contempt, and anger. From the earth portals, fiery red demons emerged. They looked at humankind like someone looking at a big feast. Matthias slowly appeared from heaven wearing his godly clothing. He was holding his staff and looking at the mortals below with his face masked with light. I have given humankind laws to follow, ways to become stronger, beliefs that could help you, and that the mortals must not rely on me too much. Rely on me as your support, not as someone who would solve your problem for you. But you didn't do it. And then you are blaming me. I call upon the 2 races of angels and demons. Kill the most sinful half of humankind and don't eat them. I'm talking about you demons. I'll handle the others. Matthias spoke with a deep and disappointed voice. He placed his judgment upon mortals and there began a massacre. Angels flapped their wings powerfully and sent a gale that shredded evil humans into pieces. Demons started a massacre with some demons contending on who can kill the most. In mere minutes, the tens of billions of humans were reduced to a total of 5 billion. I shall take it from here. Matthias waved his hand down, stopping everyone. The world tree seed has absorbed enough nutrients to grow. Do you want to grow it? Yes, Matthias said in his mind. Right after, the ground shook as all the lands that were once starting to decay because of pollution began to flourish once more. Dead bodies were swallowed by the ground and some even decayed on the spot while their nutrients were being absorbed. In the middle of the ocean, a huge wave occurred, and in the middle rose a huge tree with very rich green leaves. The tree was full of vitality and energy. At the opposite pole of the world, a hole appeared, ripping apart all in its way until the world became flat. Below that flat land was a stupendously huge tree that is the exact same as the one above it, but its trunk looked like tiny little stars. The crown of the tree has 70 fruits that look like oceans. The fruits were ripe and they fell from the tree itself and floated in the empty space itself. It enlarged and became worlds. Slowly, continents formed in those worlds and all of it became self-functioning worlds. All of that happened within minutes. When Matthias saw it from a god's view, he was amazed. Small berry-sized fruits then appeared from the crown. There came other world fruits that were unripe. Matthias smiled secretly. He then waved his staff. I banish you into exile as the creator of worlds. Redeem yourselves by making your descendants ascend in this world once more. If your descendants dirty my world again, I will permanently banish all of your lineages. Those who died were sent directly to hell, suffering the constant bullying of demons, while those who stayed alive were banished to the lower worlds where beasts were given birth to by the world tree. After all those massacres and punishments, what was left of Alphan were the signs of human civilization that were wrapped by nature, erasing their existence. He sighed and waved his hand, collapsing all of the buildings. The tree of life that was burnt by the humans was revived once more. In the world with the absence of humans, nature thrived. Insects flew, animals roamed the earth and sea, and birds soared through the sky. When Matthias eliminated the restriction to the angels and demons, they started criticizing and trash-talking at each other. These pesky fireflies reeked with holiness, it's disgusting and repulsive. A demon spoke first. Compared to you red-skinned folk who reeks of blood and rotten flesh, we're heavenly. A beautiful angel coldly spat. Even the word, heavenly, is repulsive when spoken by you damn fireflies. Tui, the demon spat on the ground. You wanna fight, demon? A male angel challenged. We're born to fight, you firefly. A muscular demon shouted. Enough, Matthias coldly spouted. There will be a time where all of you can fight each other. Now is not the time. Go back to your domains. Yes, Lord, the angels replied. Who even are you, huh? A demon questioned without respect. Matthias looked at the demon with his demon eyes. That was when the demon knew that he was facing a high-rank demon. Yes, sir, the demon squealed meekly. They all headed back to their domains. Shira, Matthias called. What is it, master? Shira asked. Deploy the creature I created on the template. Yes, master, Shira said. She clicked on the template and sent it to Matthias' panel. He clicked on it, completed it, and deployed 9 of them, 5 males, 4 females. From the skies, 9 huge, long, and serpentine beings flew like fishes swimming in the water. They had the body of a snake, the antlers of a deer, the talons of an eagle, the soles of a tiger, the scales of a carp, the head of a crocodile, and the eyes of a serpent. They dove towards Matthias and stopped in front of him. Greetings, father, the 9 beings called and greeted by bowing their heads. Matthias stood dumbfounded. I was called by the eastern dragons their father. He thought. Arise, my children. Matthias waved his hand up, making the dragons raise their heads. I shall name you all to represent your lineage. Yin, Yang, Luo, Bai, Zan, Zhou, Qin, Wang, and Shui. Zan will separate from all of you. I shall give you all the knowledge of Oriental civilization, mortality, and universal laws. All of you shall spread your lineage throughout all worlds if you want to. I shall give you cultivation techniques for dragons and knowledge about your race. I shall also provide inside you different divine beast bloodlines. Pick the path that you want to walk on. Matthias said. Yes, father, the dragons nodded. The males picked their partners and reproduced. Chapter 17 Beast World and the Creation of a New World. Zan, I shall grant you your human form early with my blood and divinity. I give you this celestial dragon and true dragon cultivation technique. Strengthen yourself first, then once you reach saint stage, come to me. Matthias ordered. Thank you, father. Zan cupped his fist and left. He entered his dragon form and entered the state of cultivation. The 8 dragons spread their bloodline to pure dragons or beasts, creating beasts with a hint of dragon blood. While Zan was going to be taking a path no one knows except for Matthias. Now, I only have 3.2 billion left. Matthias checked and nodded. After the chaos, the elves that hid from before emerged from their hiding spots. They gathered towards him and stopped when they were 10 meters away. Greetings, Creator. Praise you, Lord Creator. The elves kneeled and kowtowed toward him. Matthias saw that and he waved his hand to dismiss them from doing so. Return to your tree of life. To avoid what the humans did, any race cannot create their own domains without confirmation from the angels of principality. I shall give you the will of creation where the summoning of angels and demons are added. Matthias declared and handed them a copy of his will of creation. We shall heed your orders, Lord Divine. The elves nodded respectfully. Matthias nodded and flew away. Matthias then left Alphan and headed to the creation platform. When he landed there, he opened the panel and created plants, spirit herbs, beasts, and spirit creatures to inhabit his main world. He then started creating his new world, Betania. He chose to create scientifically by mashing up different levels of asteroid that he bought from the system. There were 3 types of asteroids in the system: ordinary, rich, and heavenly. Ordinary asteroids consist of rock, soil, water, and some organisms. Rich asteroids comprises soil, minerals, water, chemical compositions, elements, pure water, and organisms. Heavenly asteroids have inside it countless types of elements, organisms, DNA, energy cores, crystals, fertile soils, random beasts' carcasses, and water filled with energy. He mashed every type of asteroid up, depleting his CEs from 3.2 billion to 2 billion when he added plants and creatures in Alphan, to 400 million when he completed mashing things up. In the scientific creation panel, different from the mythological panel, the items that it provides are bacterias, organisms, elements, DNA, and just some objects that contain celestial energy. He spreaded animal DNAs inside organisms and some powerful DNAs that could evolve into strong humans. In a scientifically developed world, time acceleration is also much cheaper as powerful creatures containing energy are few and far between. He distributed algae throughout the huge lump of an asteroid and let it grow by itself. He added another heavenly asteroid to orbit the world, making the moon. He accelerated the time by 1 second on the creation platform to 100 years in the world of Betania. He waited for Betania to develop by watching Alphan grow into a beast world. In Alphan, the dragons Yin, Yang, and Shui stayed to spread their lineages. The dragons Luo, Bai, Qin, Zhou, and Wang descended in the mortal world to impregnate beasts. Xuan stayed in Alphan's highest mountain and cultivated there, eventually facing his first tribulation and reaching the Beast Emperor cycle stage, where he could destroy a quarter of the Divine Continent if he put his back into it. Reminder, the Divine Continent's surface area is as large as Earth's surface area. There are 10 stages in Alphan, namely body tempering, Qi assimilation where all of the cultivation regarding Qi takes place like Qi refining, golden core, and so on. There's also Ascension, Emperor cycle, where one repeats the first 2 stages, Saint cycle, God King, Ruler, and Divine Ascension, where one could be considered a pseudo-god. After those are God stages, but one needs Matthias' approval to ascend. Xuan's bloodline purity and him being a high-rank beast, his body could take a lot of energy to cultivate. And, the first 2 stages are only meant for mortals whose body is too weak to receive pure and powerful energies, so, he skipped the 2 stages and directly became an Ascension stage expert. For beasts of higher bloodline like dragons, their body is already too strong to need tribulations on their ascension stage, so their first tribulation starts at Emperor cycle stage, where a more powerful golden core called Azure core will be formed. He cultivated for 50 years and reached the Emperor stage and another 50 years to reach the Emperor cycle. With his power, he could already dominate worlds. But he kept going until he reached Saint. Once he reaches Saint stage, he will approach Matthias to follow his request. A white tiger, a beast that was created when Matthias added creatures, was the first one to ascend to become an ascension stage expert from mortals. The white tiger found a spirit herb that he planted that was made to enrich the world with energy. It wasn't made to be consumed. When the white tiger ate it, he spasmed and his body shed with blood. He was on the verge of exploding when he persisted and successfully became an ascension stage beast. His power skyrocketed, and he had the ability to transform into his humanoid form. When Matthias saw it, he was dumbfounded. But he eventually accepted it since when he was traveling worlds in his time in the abyss, he saw a snake that accidentally swallowed an energy core and ascended to become a jade serpent, a creature nearing its ascendancy to becoming a dragon. He descended the world and approached the tiger, shocking it. I shall give you a cultivation technique for you to cultivate. You could pass it to your descendants if you want to. You could also edit it as you wish if you can. Matthias entered his divinity form and appeared before the beast and gave him a cultivation technique and a hint of a divine tiger bloodline. After doing so, he flew back to the platform. Chapter 18 A Genius, a cultivation genius. Matthias thought that he needed to descend every time some creature ascended and he found it very tiresome. So he entered the creation panel and inserted on every single being the way of cultivation and a cultivation technique for their respective race in their bloodline and locked the knowledge in. Once they ascend, the lock on their bloodlines will be released and they can cultivate on their own. But to avoid some beast needing to eat his spirit-enriching herbs, he made it so that the beings inside Alphan will unconsciously cultivate so that they can accumulate energy and ascend, but it will be slower. He also spreaded out bloodlines from divine beasts like vermilion birds, phoenixes, celestial dragons, divine tigers, black tortoises and so on. They will be implanted on different things like plants, bones, minerals, ambers, and anything that a creature could eat. He planted more spirit-enriching herbs and plants to make the energy denser and let the world function on its own. The world started to time accelerate on its own, and there came many developments in its first 20 years. Many beasts became more powerful. They started to dominate their own lands and fight with other powerful beasts. Some beasts ate some of the divine bloodlines that Matthias spreaded out. Some of them awakened the bloodlines inside, while the others just let the bloodlines sit inside their blood essences. The great forest of Alphas rose once more with the tree of life at its core. The elf's knowledge accumulated more in its first ascension stage. Expert faced his tribulation and succeeded, and with his bloodline unlocked, he distributed the cultivation technique in him throughout his race. The elf's power rose significantly, and they started descending to other worlds. In those other worlds, thousands of years have passed and the banished all died due to age. Civilizations appeared in some worlds while others stayed in their tribal age. To avoid humankind from once again ruining the worlds that they inhabit, the elves secretly took care of the nature of those worlds. Some elves who inhibited resentments from the former humans' oppression started establishing kingdoms and oppressing humans. The descendants of the dragons started to rise and attack other humans. The dragon Joe descended in a world where the people suddenly reverted into a tribal civilization. When Joe descended, he was revered as a supreme being. He was treated as a god and a divine beast from the world where their ancestors are supposed to come from. Joe loved the treatment, so he guided a person whom he deemed worthy and made him ascend to the throne. He taught him how to establish a dynasty, uniting the land under one language, and rule with benevolence and wisdom. He circled the world and reached the clouds. He used his innate power and manipulated the clouds to become his divine kingdom and stayed there, watching the humans below. The man that he guided became known as Emperor Suo of Joe. He was also known as the first emperor and the dragon envoy. He appointed ministers, generals, and enforcers to stabilize his land and rule. He led his men to conquer other tribes, and when the surviving tribes saw that, they immediately started to adapt to the enemy's rule and establish their own dynasties. With that, huge wars broke out, making Joe satisfied. When Qin saw that, he was jealous and also descended to a world and guided them. When Joe saw what Qin was doing, he just laughed it out. Looking at the amusing duo, Matthias just shook his head. They're trying to amuse themselves by watching humans fight against each other. These fools. Different from Qin and Joe, Luo and Bai guided the worlds that they visit in cultivation. They taught the humans and beasts how to cultivate and strengthen themselves. If they ascended, they could go under the two dragons' teachings and be their disciple. While Wang, the naughty one, just spreads his sperm on every beast he sees, endangering the lives of the humans inhabiting it. Seeing that, Matthias just wants to slap Wang's forehead. I can't even go near a girl, then you're there just screwing anyone you see. Asshole, he sneered. Suddenly, Matthias saw something in Alphan that shocked him. What the heck, who's this talented lad? Matthias' eyes bulged with what he saw. A human appeared in Alphan, where humans can't be seen. Did I miss someone when I banished everyone? Matthias thought. In Alphan, the man lying on the ground scrunched his fist. So the legend is true. A higher world really exists. The man smiled weakly. When he finished cultivating and achieved spirit completion in his world, he started to break through the world boundary and succeeded. But in doing so, he was wounded heavily by the spatial turbulence. When he woke up, he was already in a lush forest, laying on the grass. Tall trees surrounded him while occasional chirping of birds assaulted his ears. He slowly sat and inhaled. He circulated his cultivation technique and was amazed. Wow, the spirit chi here is really rich. I could attain the spirit deity stage here in a little over 100 years. After saying so, he laughed wholeheartedly. If I were you, I wouldn't laugh that hard here with your state. Suddenly, a mysterious voice sounded behind him. Who? The man shouted alarmingly. Who are you that is so talented to ascend this world in a little over 5,000 years after humanity's banishment? A man wearing a dilapidated robe with his hood covering his face appeared behind him and asked. He was holding a staff while standing upright. Are you also a banished human from other worlds like the ancestors said? Because I don't know someone other than me who ascended from Scenaria. And who even are you to ask me? The man wondered for a while but still asked haughtily. Seeing the arrogant man, the hooded man laughed as if he heard the funniest joke ever. Humans were banished because of their chaotic and arrogant personalities, and their abilities to destroy nature. I don't want to banish such a talented lad like you. The man suddenly stopped laughing and spoke coldly, but I would if I had to. The man realized what he said and was scared shitless. Are you the divine god who banished humanity to the 1,000 worlds? He stammered. If you say it that way, then yes. But I am really amazed at how humans could exaggerate things. I just banished humans to 70 worlds and now, it has reached 1,000 worlds. Funny, truly, Matthias giggled. Although it was funny to Matthias, it was harrowing to the man. Chapter 19 First Human Bloodline Possessor. The divine god, as depicted to the annals of their ancestors, was a cruel and evil god who banished humanity because he disliked them because of their intelligence. He was said to have sent red demons and white demons to slaughter humankind, and when the population of humanity was halved, he banished them to the Thousand Worlds. Although he knows that his strength exceeds anyone in his world and that he is very powerful, he knew he was no match to the divine god who could banish huge numbers of humans. "Are you going to kill me?" the man asked meekly. Matthias heard that and was speechless. "Why the fuck would I kill you? The annals said that you banished and killed humans because you disliked our intelligence. Isn't that true?" By now, Matthias was fuming with madness and was just stopping himself from strangling the man. "Is that what your ancestors taught your world? Those plastic and dumb bastards?" Matthias inhaled and exhaled heavily to calm himself. "What really happened, Your Reverence?" the man asked a little bit more respectfully. "I was the one who gave humanity their intelligence. I am a human too, so saying that I am mad with humans because they're intelligent, then shouldn't I be mad at myself too? And I banished humans because they would have destroyed this beautiful world and because they hunted down my religion who taught them basic human intelligence and the powers of the mystic. Of course I'll be mad and banish them. I am already benevolent to just banish half of humanity. All those people that were killed by angels and demons were the evilest of people. If I wanted to, I could just slaughter them all to get rid of the problem." Matthias explained. So that's what happened. Can I descend once more to change the way of thinking of my race?" The man nodded and asked. "Cultivate first. The stages here and in your world are different. Your world's cultivation only covers 2 stages in this world," Matthias answered. "As you have completed the 2 stages in your world, you have stepped into the pseudo-ascension stage. Replace your downgraded chi to this world's primordial chi and formally ascend to ascension stage. But I suggest you heal yourself first, as you will face heavenly tribulation here." The man looked like he understood and nodded weakly. "Oh, yeah. Thank you, Your Reverence." "What is your name?" Matthias asked. "I am Dale Mazer, Your Reverence," the man answered respectfully. It is weird to hear an Eastern cultivator with a Western name. It kinda creeps me out." Matthias shivered with cringiness. "What do you want to be my name, Your Reverence?" Dale suddenly asked. "Oh, why haven't I thought that?" Matthias' eyes lit up as he remembered something. "Sure, I, the Creator, grant you, Dale Mazer, the ancestral name of Yi as in one and the name of Tiansai as in genius, Yi Tiansai. I shall also give you the language to base the names of your future descendants." Matthias straightened up his back and spoke with overflowing dignity. "I shall also give you a chance to choose one of the 3 bloodlines, Qilin, Phoenix, Divine Tiger." He opened his hand and showed 3 ambers with blood encapsulated within. Yi Tiansai thought hard and eventually picked the Qilin blood. The other 2 bloodlines vanished and the Qilin blood was extracted from the amber by a mysterious force. The blood shot out through Yi Tiansai's blood and his heart refined all of his blood essences, turning it to blood with Qilin bloodline in it. His mind was also filled with details about Qilins and his body shuddered violently with some blood together with it. After shedding, his formerly damaged body healed and became as pure as a baby's skin. His body shone with yellow, blazing light, signaling that his body transformed. "What happened to my body?" he asked. "As your heart refined the Qilin blood essence, your body repaired and shed itself off of its impurities. It restructured your body and strengthened itself, transforming your normally tempered body into a Qilin body, capable of controlling divine fire and having strong mental capabilities to detect one's thoughts." Matthias answered him calmly. Yi Tiansai gasped with amazement. He didn't expect that the Qilin blood essence had so many benefits. But unfortunately or fortunately, his amazement has yet to end. "Surprisingly, I guess it was because of your talent, you have also awakened the divine physique that is encrypted inside the bloodline. Normally, it will be impossible or take thousands of years for it to show signs of appearing, but, looking at you, I see that you're very talented." Matthias' eyes grew open a little, showing his shock, and smiled at Tiansai. "Really, what is a divine physique? What is the physique inside my body?" Yi Tiansai was a little confused because he grew in a world where only the basics of cultivation were known, so he doesn't know anything about bloodlines, physiques, heavenly and earthly treasures, and things that could be found in Alphan. Physiques are innate abilities that our current body has. If you have a pure physique, you can absorb primordial chi like drinking water as there is no blockage of impurities. There are 3 types of physiques according to their usefulness and power level: great, grand, and divine physiques. Matthias slowly explained for Tiansai to absorb. Your physique is a divine type, a physique that grants the host the assurance of at least a saint cycle stage cultivation level. For the abilities of your physique, I'd like you to discover it on your own. Matthias also slowly explained the cultivation levels of Alphan. Wow, there are still a lot of stages to reach the peak. Yi Tiansai was dumbfounded when he learned that he was just on the 3rd stage and was far from the 10th stage. But, seeing that, Matthias laughed. Divine Ascension isn't even the peak of Alphan because there is still Pseudo-Sentinel and Sentinel stage. But that is if you successfully pass Judgement Tribulation. I won't brief you about that as it's too far for you yet. Chapter 28 Historical War Orchestrated by Dragons and God. Oh, right, inside your bloodline is a cultivation technique that is suitable for your physique. Don't waste it, look for it, comprehend it, and cultivate. Oh, okay. Having been loaded with a crap ton of amount of information and a lot of jaw-dropping things, Tianxai just nodded absent-mindedly. Matthias chuckled and waved his hand. Anyways, except for the first emperor of Alphan, you are the only mortal who talked to me this long. I gotta go. He saluted with his 2 fingers and jumped, floating away towards the sky, while Yi Tianxai looked at him blank-faced. After finishing the talk, Matthias returned to the platform and watched the mortals below once more. After being left behind, Yi Tianxai began to refine his qi and replace it with primordial qi. After doing so for a week, he started roaming the southern divine continent and training to fight monsters. A lot more beasts faced tribulations and entered the ascension stage. They unlocked their bloodlines and learned how to cultivate and utilize their power. In the world named Xuan, which is the world where Zhou descended, the Zhou dynasty is finally facing off against an equally powerful and large foe, the Zhang dynasty, led by Emperor Zhang Daya. When the Zhou dynasty declared war, the dragon Zhou called out his brother Qin to watch, which was happily accepted by the dragon. Bai and Wang were a little curious, so they watched as well. Only Luo was able to stop the temptation forming inside her. Matthias was also curious, so he appeared behind them, scaring the 4 dragons. Father. Greetings, father. Sorry, we're too relaxed. We're going back to our jobs. Zhou mumbled meekly. No, it's okay. I was just curious too. Go on, let's watch. Matthias waves his hand and dismisses them, making the 4 dragons happy. Thank you, father. Matthias nodded and watched the 2 dynasties rumbling below. In Tianquan, after Zhou's declaration of war, they immediately gathered their vassal states and dispatched 50,000 troops to attack the cities of Zhang. They seized cities after cities. This is boring, Matthias mumbled, disappointing Zhou. He felt he did a bad job. Let's add some action. Matthias grinned with evilness, creeping out the 4. He then waved his hand, sending tiny wisps of light to the Zhang Emperor and Zhou Emperor. From the Zhou, the 4th Zhou Emperor gave Zhang a chance to peacefully surrender. From Zhang, the 3rd Emperor started to plot and build his army. Holy shit, this is thrilling, Zhou exclaimed. Matthias laughed out loud with victory, earning the praises of the 4. When Zhou didn't receive a reply for 3 weeks, they launched another attack, but when they reached the forest near the city. Arg! For Zhang, a shout of more than 10,000 men echoed throughout the forest. Zhang ambushed the army of Zhou. Zhou tried to counter but was met with Zhang's resistance. They had no choice but to retreat. With this, the psychological war started between the 2 nations. In the first year, Zhou attacked Zhang's border city of Kanai. Zhang's counterattack was abandoning Kanai directly and attacking Zhou's border city Mashan and cutting the Zhou army by taking Suyu city and directly attacking the Zhou army on all 4 fronts. In the second year, Zhou successfully countered Zhang by luring them to Sangguo Canyon and surrounding them with archers. Then Zhou retook both Suyu and Mashan city by instigating a coup d'état in Zhang's army and absorbing them into their ranks. Suddenly, Matthias smiled without anyone knowing. He quickly reverted back to his sightseeing expression so no one noticed anything unusual. In the third year, the Zhou army fought the large army of Zhang in the front lines of Sanxi grasslands, not knowing that another army of Zhang with their vassals continued to conquer 4 cities until the Zhou army heard it. Zhou tried to retake the cities but was met with great resistance from the vassal states. In the 4th year, Zhou had to relocate their capital because Zhang established an army of 20,000 strong in the city of Longyu, a city that is only a few kilometers from the former Zhou capital. In the 5th year, after Zhou occupied the Zhang supply line, they continued to advance and retake cities, letting the city of Longyu starve to death, eventually making them surrender. Late the 6th year, Zhang instigated a big rebellion inside Zhou by funding the commoners. In a surprising turn of events, a vassal state of Zhou Qin state launched a surprise assault on the cities of the 2 dynasties and united with 2 other vassal states Yuan and Su to establish the Qin dynasty. Quickly, in the 7th, 8th, and 9th years, Qin conquered cities after cities with overwhelming advantages. They started reforms and quickly established dominance over the 2 dynasties. In the 10th year, Qin separated their army to siege both the Zhou capital and the remaining cities. In the same year, Zhang surrendered and the vassal states were conquered. After the war, everyone looked at the mischievous dragon smiling on the side. Your move was pretty amazing, Qin. Matthias grinned and ruffled Qin's dragon head. Hee. The dragon chuckled and patted his neck. You're evil, Zhou spoke half crying. After the show, Matthias returned to his platform and there, Shira was waiting for his return. Master, the dragon Xuan is waiting for you below. Shira pointed at a buff man with sharp eyes and thick eyebrow. The man who was overflowing with strength was currently standing atop of a plateau. Matthias descended and was seen by the man. The man faced his direction and cupped his fist, bowing toward him. Father, the man spoke. You're quick, Xuan, you're already at saint rank. Matthias nodded approvingly. It is thanks to father's cultivation technique. Xuan answered respectfully. Don't be humble. I gave you the cultivation technique, but if you didn't even cultivate it, you wouldn't reach this level. Matthias waved his hand. Now, I made you come to me because if you can't even properly fight, you are but a lump of strong flesh. Come with me. Matthias waved for him to come. He opened a portal and entered it. Xuan nodded and followed him. They appeared in a hellish place. No, not hellish, it is a literal hell. Chapter 21 Xuan, A Legend of Hell. The years have flown by inside the Hell domain. Countless demons rose and warred against each other to compete for ascending. Currently, there are 17 Dukes of Hell. They govern their respective areas and warred for territories. When Xuan saw the state of the domain, he was stunned speechless. The situation in the surroundings was very messy. What I want you to do is to learn how to fight here. I made you come to me when you reach the saint stage, as once you are in that stage, your soul and body will be incorruptible if you don't allow it. Matthias finally revealed his mission for Xuan. So I could go fight anyone I want. Xuan's eyes lit up. You could, if you have the ability that is. Matthias grinned. Your power will be limited to an ascension stage expert. If you want to unlock the seals on your cultivation, fight and defeat more demons. If you die, you will be reincarnated from the crystal and your cultivation will be sealed by one minor realm. You will spend your time like that for 200 years. After that, I'll be going there to pick you up. Good luck. Matthias smiled innocently, but Xuan shuddered. Xuan wanted to ask some things, but Matthias didn't give him a chance to talk and directly left hell. When Matthias stepped on the platform, he opened the independent space panel and accelerated time to 200 years. After doing so, the orb near the platform spun madly and stopped after 10 seconds. Matthias opened the portal and entered it, and what his eyes met was a huge Eastern-like city. Statues of Xuan decorated the city square. I told him to fight, not establish a civilization in hell. Matthias gawked at the sight of demons selling stones, demon jades and meat skewers. Where is this? Matthias asked one of the demons. Oh, you're new. This is the city of Xuan that is dedicated to the great ruler. The demon answered him enthusiastically. Oh, tell me about him, oh, you're really new in hell. Well, here's the thing. Lord Xuan arrived here 200 years ago. He directly fought demons and strengthened himself very quickly. He faced countless war demons and chaos demons that were known to be very strong. Years later, he dominated a small part of Duke Soren the Flame Demon. To quell the anger of many, Duke Soren sent his generals to kill him. The generals and Lord Xuan fought for days, but the generals eventually won. A year later, Lord Xuan reappeared and fought the generals that attacked him. He emerged victorious and successfully earned the ire of Duke Soren. He sent his whole army to kill Lord Xuan, but they were defeated. Lord Xuan just became too strong and he dominated the battlefield. Duke Soren then personally got down to eliminate the Lord. Lord Xuan and Duke Soren fought and Lord Xuan won by a small margin and killed Duke Soren, directly seizing his throne. Lord Xuan was said to only love the battlefield, so he disassembled the Soren dukedom. He then started his journey to challenge all dukes and destroy their domains. In his 133rd year, eventually, all the dukes started to band together to stop him except for Duke Maltus. It was said that the duke personally submitted to Lord Xuan. When the demon reached that part, Matthias nodded approvingly. I guess Grombash sensed my aura on Xuan. Then, Matthias asked the demon to continue. Lord Xuan, Duke Maltus, and his generals were eventually hunted down by the 16 dukes, 20 marquises, 29 counts, 47 viscounts, and 66 barons. They struggled for 60 years to fight them, sometimes killing the majority of them. Matthias nodded proudly. Eventually, the two lords with their men emerged victorious in their fight, where the ignoble demons gathered their army to get rid of them, trying to trap them forever in the summoning platform. Lord Xuan became a huge and long beast to surprise them, and he lunged at them in his human form. He formed a long spear that was filled with an aura of dominance and slashed all of them. Duke Maltus appeared at the back and slaughtered the army indiscriminately. The underlings of Maltus charged at the army with burning fervor. The people of the Abyss were amazed by the feat. They crowned Xuan as a prince-rank demon, but, without the blessings of hell, he could only become a pseudo-prince. Cities were built to honor Lord Xuan and his men. Now, you are in Xuan City, the capital of Xuan Princedom. The demon finished telling the story, but he was still bedazzled dreaming about Xuan. Now, that's legendary. Matthias laughed. He flew to a high mountain and searched for Xuan, and found him north. Xuan was teaching 7 small demons how to fight by making them charge at him. Xuan was just playing around when he sensed Matthias' aura. He looked up in the sky, finding a floating man above. Father, he cried out and flew towards him. He then cupped his fist and bowed. You are good, you have made me proud. He answered. Thank you, could you introduce me to those little brats? Matthias asked. Sure, Xuan chirped happily. They descended, and on the ground, there were 7 small demons. This is Kyphos, a war demon that is proficient in the arts of the spear. I found him when Duke Maltus introduced me to his domain. A little brat with small horns and tusks that resembles that of an orc bowed towards him, Grandmaster. This is Halos, an orphan demon of the Chaos Demons who was said to have an impure bloodline. A blue demon with red eyes looked submissively towards Matthias. Anaros, one of the 3 sons of a flame demon that submitted to me. Saltos, second of the 3 sons. Silmios, youngest of the 3 sons. Malfios, son of General Guldas under Duke Maltas. He is a war demon that has huge potential. And this is Meldo Rudimus, a human. I really don't know why he is still in hell. He was even reluctant to hurt me at first. He's so kind, Xuan exclaimed when he reached Meldo and ruffled the brat's hair. Good disciples you have here, Xuan. Matthias patted the dragon man's back. Thank you, father. Xuan bowed once more. Now, let us go back to the overworld. As your training is already finished, we should go back. And as a reward for you becoming a legend in hell, I'm letting Meldos go with you. Matthias smiled. Really, how about the others? Xuan asked hopefully. They are demons, and their home is hell. Going up there will be messy. And your next mission is to travel the worlds below. You should travel, and if you found someone you love, you could do anything. But best give me a grandson. Just do whatever you want in those 70 worlds. Matthias answered. I'm descending to the lower worlds. Affirmative, father. Xuan approved. Then let's go. Matthias waved his hand and entered the portal to Alphan. Chapter 22 Xuan's Descension. God descends on Betania. When they entered Alphan, they teleported to the world tree, amazing Meldos. He only heard about the tales of the surface world from his family. Matthias held Xuan's head and sent datas in his mind. This is the spell to descend to the lower worlds. Descend to where you want to and just find the root of the world tree and use the spell. It will redirect you to the world tree body and control it to transfer to other worlds. Xuan did what was instructed in the memory and connected his body, mind, and soul to the world tree. The world tree released realm space magic inside his body, circulating inside. He held Meldos and distributed in him the mystical energy, and after 3 seconds, they vanished from this world and now entered the lower worlds. Once they fully vanished and successfully descended, Matthias looked up and flew away. In Betania, after 2 million years, the world has settled and formed oceans and continents. Plant life has flourished with extinct plants on Earth appearing in Betania. For the living creatures, as the organisms contained DNAs of primitive humans and animals, the world directly entered a tribal age in its 10,000th year. Humans banded together to resist the beasts. They started building and learned to lead in their 15,000th year of tribal inception. More than 1 million years later, after culling the beasts, they started their first ever true civilization. They ruled with a Khajan, a king of a Khan. They ruled with a Western-style type of kingdom, and relied on meat, fruits, and wheat as their diet. Years after, other civilizations sprouted and eventually opened the competitions between domains and culture. Kingdoms rose and fell, entering the cycle of beginning and the end, Alpha and Omega, and the cycle of growth and decay. Fast forward to the present, 2 million years after the civilization's inception, humanity entered its scientific age. Man-made elements have been created by scientists and technological advancements rose significantly, reaching the technological level of 2021 Earth. He just realized that he didn't develop any faith towards him in Betania, wasting a lot of potential FP suppliers. He facepalmed himself, laughing at his dead-ass forgetfulness. With Betania's current state of technology, it will only take 500 years for it to advance into the space age. Matthias shook his head and prepared to descend when. As you have completed the requirements of having a scientifically created world, the world reaching 17 billion sentient inhabitants, inhabitants successfully creating civilizations, inhabitants successfully inventing technology, your worlds reaching 500 billion combined, faith points reaching max, you have successfully ascended to realm god stage. World creation is now much cheaper, CPs and FPs could now be cultivated and absorbed from worlds, and unlock space exploration for civilizations of a scientifically developed world. Deducted 300 million CPs to create pseudo-stars. The system announced his completion of tasks and ascension to another stage. The system explained the benefits of his ascension slowly for him to digest. I can cultivate the 2 points now. How? He asked. The system has imprinted inside your mind a god cultivation technique. It is a specially crafted technique for realm god stage creators. There will be other stages of the cultivation technique as you ascend more stages. Keep it up, Shira answered. Cool, let me try. Matthias rubbed his hands together with excitement and anticipation. He read his memories inside his mind and there, details regarding the technique were clearly explained. He circulated it accordingly and slowly, his CPs and FPs started to increase. I don't need to steal stars again, Matthias chirped. Can I cultivate even if I'm inside worlds? Matthias asked. Affirmative, host. Okay, I'll descend now without anyone knowing. Matthias jumped and descended to Betania. Year 2000 of the new era. In Betania, the new era signaled the discoveries of elements, and the people's pursuit to the betterment of their lives. In Betania, there are 9 continents, only 2 of which humans colonized. The other 7 continents are filled with beasts that haven't yet been defeated. Scientists have been always inventing weapons to colonize the other continents that are as big, if not bigger, than the Americas. Chapter 23 The God Cloaked with Divine Light. The continent of Asta, a continent in the middle of Betania, is 147,089,504 square kilometers. It is home to 15 countries, one of them is Betania's global superpower, New Trasex Federation. Trasex is currently the leading nation in terms of science, technology, and military. They often lead expeditions to colonize the neighboring continent of Celis. The second continent that humanity inhabits is Bara, a continent as large as Afro-Eurasia that is located south of Asta. Although its colonized area is just more than a half, it is still home to 29 countries, one of them is Descension, Betania's country that currently holds the title as the leading country in entertainment. Its idols and songs could be heard all around the human continents. In Bara, there's also the country of Sesha, the largest and strongest country in the continent. Their mineral supplies are just second to Trasex. With the goal of uniting the world under human supremacy, the countries of Trasex and Sesha formed the Astra Union. The armies of the countries of Asta and Bara unite once every 5 years to fully colonize Bara and the neighboring continent Celis. Matthias descended in the continent of Bara, in a country called Siso, a coastal country that has a mixture of a lot of cultures. It is warm and cozy and a very great country with music, entertainment, food, and beverages. The only problem was, the countries in this world are a little more developed than Earth. So there will be a need for identification. How the heck would I get that? Matthias thought with irritation. Matthias' eyes lit up. In a government building. What can I do for you, boy? The man behind the counter asked in his own language to a 16-year-old boy in front of him. The boy was Matthias, adapting his body into his earth body. As Matthias is a god and could understand and speak his creation's language with his all-speak ability, he answered the question fluently. I want to register for my identification papers. Sure. Do you have your birth certificate? The man asked. I don't have one, Matthias answered. So, you're registering for a lot of legal identification papers. Do you have your guardian with you? The man looked at him. No, I am an orphan who lived in the forest of Pippa. I journeyed here because apparently, Siso discriminates between races less as it is a country formed by a mix of cultures. Matthias sighed but smiled inwardly. Before going to register his legal papers, he walked around the country and researched its geography, laws, and races inside it. He also teleported inside one of their banks and stole about 500,000 sessen or about $100,000. He replaced it with gold and ran away. He always laughed at himself whenever he remembered it. Do you have money to process your papers? That'll take you about 1,000 sessen. The man took pity on him but still did his work appropriately. Yes, Matthias answered, when I was near a mine in Pippa, I collected metals that fetched at least 2,000 sessen. Okay, come here and fill up these forms. The man nodded and gave him at least 20 pages of paper and a black pen. Matthias nodded and took the papers and pen. He sat on a table and started writing. In the middle of answering, he suddenly paused. Mister, what are the religions here? Oh, right, you have been living in a forest all this time. The man clapped and hurried towards him. We currently recognize 5 religions, but they really just stem from 2. Those 2 are Amurab, the religion of the sun that started since 3000 BNE, and the divine church that appeared 2,500 years ago. The man answered honestly. Did you just say divine church? Who is their god? Matthias' hair stood straight and looked incredulously at the man. Yeah, our god is described really vaguely. But the divine church is definitely centered under Mathos, the god cloaked with white light. The man answered and clasped his hands to pray when he said his god's name. What did you say, Mathos? Do you have some annals where the history of the divine church could be found? Yes, but the annals of the divine church could be found on a smartphone or in the local library. But before going there, finish filling the form up first so that we could process it earlier. Matthias hurriedly put, divine church, as his religion and filled out the rest. He handed the forms to the man and the man said, okay, it's done. Your papers could be available 3 to 7 days from now. Matthias nodded and hurried to a library. He looked for the religion section and found the book called, History of the Divine Church, and read it. In the book, it was said that the founder of the religion, Luke Eisenhard or Pope Luke I was just a teenage boy when he was pursued by thugs. He was beaten up badly and was praying to anyone to help him and cleanse the sins of the thugs when suddenly, a white light shone to them from the sky. What came down was a man cloaked with white robe. On his back were 2 large dove wings and his hair was golden. When he descended, he kneeled down to extend his hand towards Luke and spoke with gentleness. You have summoned me and extended a connection from the divine kingdom to this world. Tell me, what do you need? The angel asked. I want peace and humans to unite, so that others could avoid being bullied by others of their race. Luke answered weakly. Who are you? The thugs asked the angel. On behalf of the power bestowed on me, I forgive you of your sins. I am Archangel Tariel, one of the servants of the Lord Creator. Tariel spoke and preached to the people in front of him. He said that in the Divine Kingdom, there were 5 angels with 4 blazing wings called seraphims that govern the 4 directions. The seraphims were said to have the names of Alman of the highest faith, Asha the ruler of men, Alia the purest of queens, Sariel the protector of nature, and Anacelia the wife of nature. They were said to govern the Divine Kingdom under the god Mathos, the god cloaked with white light. Chapter 24 Archangel Tariel. Successful launch to space. He also introduced a holy triad to them, the man, the divine, and the creator. Archangel Tariel told them the tale of the man guiding the first emperor, the divinity who crowned the one who united the land, and the creator who established the Divine Kingdom. The man, the divine, and the creator. I'd rather be called the man who guided humanity, the divine who crowned the first holy emperor, and the devil who crowned the first duke. He chuckled. Archangel Tariel protected Luke with the thugs submitting to the holy angel. What do you want me to accomplish for you, my lord? Luke asked respectfully. Establish the divine church in this world and spread the name of our Lord. Only then will you have fulfilled my wish. Archangel Tariel answered and flew back to the Divine Kingdom. As he continued to read about the history of the church, he started laughing at himself and took pride in his angels. He stood up and returned the book to its shelf and walked to an enclosed corner. He bit his finger and dropped blood on the ground. Archangel Tariel, I summon thee. Wind blew violently on the spot and, from his blood, a portal filled with light expanded to welcome an angel that is the same as what's described in the book. Who art thou to summon thy angel? The angel asked. Are you Archangel Tariel? Matthias smiled. Who are you to speak so casually in front of a divine? I am Archangel Tariel that you speak of. The angel scoffed. You have done well to spread my faith in Betania. Good job. Matthias chuckled while his eyes slowly shone with white light and his face covered with light. Lord Creator, the Archangel exclaimed and quickly kneeled. At ease. Stand up. You have made me proud and you shall be rewarded. You shall be promoted as a power angel. You shall be in charge of Betania's divine church. Thank you, Lord. The Archangel bowed happily. You can go back now. Watch the divine church carefully. Matthias nodded and dismissed the Archangel. After that, he explored the world and lived there. 2 months later, he had already received his identification papers. He established King's Industries that is under technology. With the help of his knowledge about the elements that exist inside of the world. He scanned where efficient metals could be excavated. Using the same technology and way to manufacture gadgets but with better materials. What resulted is a faster, more powerful, and a more durable gadget. He also built a cafe near a lake south of the country. The cafe sold coffee and tea that came from plants that he bought from the system. He planted them as they were said to have a very rich taste. The tea was also said to calm the heart and mind and heal some illnesses. He harvests it and stocks it every night. He also hired people and taught them how to brew coffee and tea. He also sold cakes and desserts made from ingredients from Alphan. Its taste was so creamy, sweet, and delicious. After establishing the cafe, he sat near the lake on his patio, drinking his tea, and eating dessert while relaxing and cultivating. A peaceful life with the absence of stress and leadership. Living in a modern world that has the absence of chaos was the life that Matthias missed. One day, Matthias was calmly sitting on a wooden chair when the inside of the cafe erupted in cheers. His curiosity was piqued so he stood up and entered the cafe. What happened, Jenny's? He asked. Jenny's was one of his employees. She was very good at brewing tea and coffee so Matthias liked her very much. She's intelligent, talented, and wise when it comes to her works. She's also beautiful and elegant when brewing, so others often come to admire her brewing techniques. Sir Matt, the Trasex Federation has successfully launched to space. The girl chirped happily. The hell they're gonna do there? But they're impressive. Matthias laughed as he knew that there really are not that many things up in space except for stars and the 70 planets and Alphan. Boss is so bitter, unlike his coffee. The taste is so rich, damn it. One of the customers yelled, making everyone laugh. Before, our technology only lets us see stars and debris extending like a huge tree. Now we could possibly explore it. Okay. To celebrate their successful launch to space, every beverage here is free for 2 orders. Matthias resignedly nodded and gave them free beverages. You the best, boss. Yeah. No turning back. The customers rejoiced and ordered happily. Matthias shook his head and returned to the cafe's patio and sat there peacefully. A sleek and shiny smartphone then rang on the table. Matthias looked at it and picked it up. Hello, how is it, Cameron? Matthias answered the call and asked immediately. I have contacted the Trasexian government, boss. They have agreed to meet you regarding the materials. The man on the phone replied. Okay, arrange a flight for me tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Affirmative. He placed down his phone and entered the cafe. I'll be leaving for some days, Jenny's. You'll be in charge here for the time I'm away. Yes, boss. Jenny's nodded. Matthias hopped on a car that looked similar to an Audi R8 and drove to a hotel near the city's airport. He arrived at Hotel Nalia, a 5-star hotel that has 15 floors. It has casinos, bars, and is also near a huge shopping district. He stopped in front of the doors of the hotel and got down from the car. He handed the keys to the waiting chauffeur and let him park it for him. Greetings, sir. Would you like to stay? The receptionist asked politely. Yes, please. I'll stay until. Matthias nodded and looked at his watch on his right hand that pointed to 4 o'clock, this time, tomorrow. Sure. Here is your room key, sir. Do enjoy your stay. The receptionist handed out a key that has the number, 402, on it. Matthias nodded and headed to the elevator. He boarded it and pressed on the button with the number, 6. Chapter 25 Events in Hotel Nalia. Hotel Nalia has its bars on the first floor while the casino is situated on the second floor, so the rooms are located on the third floor and above. As Matthias was just staying in the hotel for a day, he was designated to a lower floor. Matthias unlocked the door to his room and entered room 402. What greeted him was a spotless room. It was clean beyond belief. The bed and its sheets were as white as snow, and its white pillows were very soft. He settled down and pressed on a button on the phone near his bed. May I have a cup of coffee and some cheesecake to be delivered to my room at 402, please? Sure thing, sir, a man that is behind the phone answered. On the first floor, it was very peaceful. The receptionists were receiving guests when suddenly, hands up, a gunshot fired. 30 men covered with black masks pointed guns at the guests. Sir Siley, we have secured the perimeter. That man holding the data about the metal's location will never be able to leave the premises. The leading robber called a phone number and spoke submissively. Secure the data first. We need to find the metals before the Trasexian government. The deep voice of a man answered from the phone. Affirmative, sir. The masked man nodded. Find that man. The masked man ordered the others. The others nodded and scoured the hotel. People were panicking, shaking, and perspiring intensely. In room 402, with his godly senses, Matthias has long since known that someone will try and get the locations of the minerals. He smiled mischievously. Oh, Sansi. You're a one naughty boy. I think you need some spanking. He waved his hand and sent his aura towards the north, to the continent of Asta. Trasex Federation is located west of Asta. On the other side was the country of Panea. Panea is equally powerful and developed as Trasex, but it lacks in its scientific developments a little compared to Trasex. Although on the outside, Trasex and Panea are in good trading relations. But unbeknownst to the public, Trasex and Panea are constantly competing against each other. Trasex had already secured the lead when they successfully launched to space. If Trasex receives the minerals that King's Industries are using, Trasex's scientific development will skyrocket once more and establish a superior lead against Panea. In Panea's presidential house, Kryn Sansi was seated at his chair, in front of tons of paper. With the minerals inside the technologies, our advancements will be unstoppable. Kryn grinned savagely. Done. Suddenly, a huge amount of pressure bore down on him. What is this? Kryn thought scarily. You fought the wrong opponent, Sansi. Then, a mysterious voice sounded in the room, speaking to him. What is this? The suppressed man asked hard. This is true power, Sansi. Without the tempering of the body and the absorbance of energy, humans aren't capable of this. The voice answered. So, stop trying to stop Trasex's development, and instead, try to colonize other continents and find new things, not limiting your target in these 2 continents. Order your men to leave Nalia Hotel, or I'll wipe out all of them. The voice reminded and vanished without a trace. The pressure that descended also alleviated. Sansi immediately called the masked man and ordered them to retreat. After doing so, he slumped on his seat and stayed dazed for a long time. Later on, he clutched his head and thought to himself, what have I done? Who the hell did I go against? In Nalia, the masked men have already left. Matthias stood up and rode the elevator down to the bar. Authorities have already been dispatched and have arrived. They were calming the people who were really traumatized because of the gunshot. Excuse me, could I please talk to you regarding the masked men here? A policeman approached Matthias and asked him politely. Sorry, I wasn't really down here when that happened. What even was that gunshot? Matthias acted dumb and looked shocked. Oh, really? It's just nothing, and they even left after a while. No one knows why they did that though. The policeman understood and let him pass. Matthias thanked the man and proceeded to the cafe shop inside the hotel. It was beside the bar and it looked very minimalistic. Can I get your order, sir? The waiter asked when he saw him entering. Oh, yes please. I'd like a cafe estricina and some cake, please. Matthias smiled and ordered a coffee similar to Americano and a cake. Right away, sir. Sit here, please. The waiter nodded and made Matthias sit. Matthias waited for his order to come and saw a piano from afar. It was situated near an aquarium inside the cafe. A man sat there and played a piece that shook Matthias down to his core and gave him goosebumps. Isn't this? He stood up and looked at the man. One of Mozart's pieces, Turkish March. Matthias wasn't really that good at piano, and he didn't really enjoy music with no voice accompaniments, but he loved Turkish march because it's very jumpy and catchy for him. Hearing it play again while in the world that he created, far from Earth where he lived, he was spooked out. Oh, what is the Turkish march? The man playing stopped and asked him skeptically. Oh, it's not the Turkish march. What's the name of that piece? Matthias sighed with relief and asked. It's called Rondo alla Turca. It was written by Sishan Maldi in 1295. The man answered. Rondo alla Turca, Matthias pondered, that's the same thing. Hey, system, what's all this? Matthias asked. Maybe he was reincarnated. The system answered. That's possible, yes. You could do it manually by attracting souls towards your reincarnation river once you cross worlds. Matthias gawked. If reincarnation is possible, can I reincarnate people such as Yin Zheng, Julius Caesar, or Napoleon in my world? Yes. The system answered. Yes. Matthias rejoiced. His order arrived and he finished it while typing on his laptop. After finishing his food, he got up and paid up.